Eagles. Eagles.
Hey everybody, and what's becoming an all too familiar Monday morning here on Birds 365 after the Philadelphia Eagles have won another football game. They moved to 3-0 in the year after a crazy comeback victory over the LA Rams yesterday. They win it 33-26 on a Jordan Davis walk-off field goal block and return. The offense came alive in the second half. We're going to talk about it all here today on Birds 365. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
I'm doing well. Not as well as Jordan Davis, but boy, he was cooking, man.
Yeah, man, he had an incredible game yesterday.
What an amazing athlete, man. He clocked in at 18.59 miles per hour, the fastest ever for anybody over 330 pounds in the next gen stats era.
Hey, was that on the return, or was that on the chase down of Stafford?
The return. But to your point about the chase down of Stafford, that was also amazing because, and Matthew's 37, but I mean, he can still move a little bit, and he had an easy angle for a first down. And here comes Jordan Davis. He did that to Josh Allen, if you remember in public. Josh Allen, chase, and that's when he wasn't in shape. He's an amazing, just pure athlete for his size, but. Yeah, I mean, exciting win. Walk-off field goal. I think that's the first walk-off field goal I've ever seen, with a touchdown on top of it. Obviously, they win the game just from the block. I've seen that kind of stuff in the past, but to walk it off with a touchdown, I can't think of anything. I haven't researched it, but in my mind, so obviously it's very exciting. But, I mean, you can't keep playing like this. You're living on the edge. And I know people get mad at us for talking about it and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's not a foundation to win what they want to win. And obviously their standard is much higher than it's typically been because they've won 19 of 20 games and 17 consecutive when the quarterback starts and finishes, all that good stuff. But he can't. I mean, at one time, the field goal block's going to be on the other side, or the drop. The drop pass is going to be on your side. Probably not with AJ. It's and you've seen it in the past with Saquon in Atlanta last year. I mean, that's one drop. That's like a boom, and you go from sure win to basically loss. That's you're living on that edge, but not on the positive side. And they don't need to. That's the crazy part. And I was talking to you before the show started, and AJ Brown is so misunderstood because I think everybody lumps wide receivers into the same group, and they're just a bunch of me. I want the football, and they all want the football. That part of it's true. But he's a very cerebral player. So he took the moment where he knows everybody's happy and everybody's thrilled and everybody's excited about that kind of exciting win that they've never seen before. And he brings up the point that we got a bunch of killers on this team. We got so many good players on this team. We should not be playing the way we play so conservatively. And I think he took the moment to open people's eyes, and I think they should be open.
Yeah. Absolutely, John. Look, it's one of the things that we talk about on this show, and not everybody likes when we talk about it because they win football games, but you clearly saw what the team is capable of. And A.J. Brown made comments. Jalen Hurts made a comment in his post-game press conference. Now, I asked you on the post-game show, John, is this circumstantial or are they going back to the way they play? And you insinuated you thought they were going to go back to the way you play. After sitting on it, after listening to the players and what they had to say, it's clear that they want more out of their own offense. Do you think that they try and play more like this moving forward, get your killers involved, as A.J. Brown said? Because I think it's a no-brainer, John. I understand that we're winning, and I'm not going to nitpick too hard because you won 19 of 20 games in the NFL. That's a hard thing to do. But this team's got some players, man. This team has real players that can make big-time plays consistently. Do you think they change, and do you think that second half will open them up moving forward here in the 2025 season?
No, I don't. Because one of the main issues, the main issue in the first half was they couldn't run the football. And they haven't run the football effectively basically in the first 3 games. Saquon's numbers, which I can give you, are 58 for 194, 3.3 yards per carry. If they're up at their normal standard in the run game, the game's not out of reach at halftime. It might be ugly, but it's not out of reach. And turns out it wasn't out of reach anyway.
I'm of the belief that running game's never going to be uber effective until they show that they have a threat through the air, and they did that yesterday in the second half. So I don't know. Am I overstating that? It feels to me like, how can Saquon get going if the passing game wasn't, in the first 2.5 games of the year, the passing game really wasn't effective or dangerous for an opposing defense? It becomes a lot harder to take away Saquon, or a lot easier to take away Saquon Barkley when that threat doesn't exist. That's why I think the balance that will come will also improve what Saquon's able to do.
Well, I don't think that changes the philosophy of opponents, because they weren't under the auspices that they can't throw the ball. They were, I don't think they have that sort of, they know A.J. Brown's out there. They know Devontae Smith. They know Dallas got him. Being back was a big part of it as well. They know they're out there. They're not dismissing their ability to gouge them at any time. I mean, they're well aware.
Right, but if there's less of a threat or less of a consistency in using those weapons, then you can focus in more on other things defensively.
I don't buy that, because if you look at Dallas's plan, which I think ironically was very good, but they haven't been able to carry that over to other teams at all. They did what they did to bottle in Saquon, but they also bracketed AJ the whole game, basically. So yeah, I think the teams around the league are very cognizant at all times of how quickly, and that's what the Eagles were able to show. But this is, again, I brought it up on the pregame show, the halftime show, the postgame show. This is not new. This is exactly what happened last year. The bad game, good game. Bad game, good game. Yeah, and I'm talking
whether they play good or bad.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking bad game, from a passing perspective.
Yeah, no, I know.
Bad game, good game. Bad. Now, a lot of the bad games last year in the passing game were, again, blocked off by the tremendous running game. That's been the part that's missing from last year's formula. This is normal, the way they do it from the passing perspective. It's exactly like last season. The difference is the running game, which was so effective basically almost at all times, not every game, but almost. And this year it's just been ineffective for a number of reasons. But it's been ineffective. So I don't know if they look at it, and again, they turned it over. They finally turned it over, but when did they turn it over? When they're dropping back to pass, and here comes Jared Verse screaming in, and they don't have their right tackle, and bang, it's a turnover. And that's at the point where I said, at halftime, I'm like, all right, I was of the assess at halftime, as I told you, like, the Rams wasted too many opportunities. I'm thinking the Eagles are still in this game.
They 4 field goals, John, in the first half of the Rams.
And there were some layups that Stafford's like first or second pass of the game. Jalen Carter was bearing down. I don't think he was the same the rest of the game. He's sped up. That's what I was talking. You got to speed him up. He's missing these throws he makes into sleep. And they're settling for field goals. And I thought to myself, the Eagles are going to come back and win this game. Now, when that strip sack happened, wasn't strip, but he got fumbled, and they scored right away, then I thought, oh, well, this is probably not the Eagles' day. And turns out they just flipped the switch and bang. That first touchdown drive was so quick. You had the big play to AJ, And I said, well, go route. There you go. Throw, go route. And then Dallas down the seam, bang,
That was a
touchdown.
pretty ball too. Yeah, that was a pretty play there.
And so, look, they can do it, but, you know, they're very conservative. And Nick got asked the question because AJ said it, and they know they're conservative. But, you know,
to me, it doesn't seem like the players want to be conservative. It doesn't. Jalen Hurts talked about it. AJ Brown talked about it.
The quarterback, it's the same as last year. The quarterback doesn't want to be conservative. The receivers want the football. They don't want to be conservative.
Well, I think they're right in that they don't have to be. I understand the Eagles have this philosophy, and it is tough to argue with. But I think there is a perfect world that exists that maybe it's hard to reach, but you can play smart football and still get your playmakers involved. I don't think it has to be so black and white. Okay, if we want to be conservative or we don't want to turn the football over, we don't need to use AJ Brown. I don't think that's the way to look at it. I really
well,
don't.
I don't think that's the way they look at it. They don't have to use AJ Brown, but they look at it that, and I tried to get Nick to talk about it as much as possible. The circumstance, the personality of games solves some issues to the point where, all right, instead of 1,500 yards, they might get when Miles Sanders was the running back, it might be 1,200 yards. He's still going to get his because there's still going to be games like this where he's making plays, and I think that's suitable enough for him. But you don't get the 39-8 coming into that game, and that was the takeaway giveaway ratio over 18 of 19 wins. You don't get that way by being, we'll just throw it around the lot. I mean, they're very hyper focused on not turning it over, and I get it. But that baked into that is the smaller margin of error, and baked into that is some ugly football. You know, but and that part of it I get because it's not about pretty aesthetic football to them. It's about winning and getting the hell out of there. Their expectations, man. And you saw it. Hey, everybody's thrilled today. You guys who were there were booing the shit out of this team because they had a bad half of football. And you can do whatever you want. You're paying for the tickets and they're very expensive and all that kind of stuff and all the and there's nothing wrong with having high standards. But they can't even build up a benefit of doubt to get through 30 minutes of football. I mean, so they know what the expectations are. And the expectations are, even though they try to admit that they don't hear it, the expectations are to win every stinking game. And what comes with that is a lot of freaking pressure. That's just part of it. Now,
pressure is a privilege, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to be a team that can't win every game. So, I mean, they want the same, but I'm saying it exists.
All right, let's talk about the second half, though, because I don't want to get too in the weeds. We can talk about this on Tuesday, Wednesday, all the things that they're going to do moving forward. I do want to talk about kind of what they did in the second. I mean, how I'm sure you knew they were capable of that, but that did look good, man. That looked like a team that could do that consistently. Now, I know you don't think that they will do that consistently, but it almost looked like Jalen Hurts started taking some reins. He was in the grills of coaches over on the sideline. You saw that video go viral on social media, and they come out and they start firing and they start clicking on all cylinders. In the passing game, defensively was obviously impressive as well. Only gave up that one touchdown in the second half, where it was the one play off the bootleg play action for Stafford after the turnover. But it was total domination in the second half, John, and they did it through the air. They did it getting their playmakers involved. A.J. Brown, I mean, I don't think anybody forgot, but, yeah, he's still a top 5 receiver in football. I mean, that dude is a man amongst boys when he catches the ball on the outside in man coverage. What you think of what they were able to do offensively, John, in that second half, and defensively?
Yeah, well, when you're behind, what was it, 26-7?
Yep.
Well, the running game's off the table. So guess what's next? Yeah, to me, it's perfectly obvious. The circumstance of the game demanded they throw the football, and they have better players than the Rams have, especially when you talk about playmakers, receivers versus secondary. So it doesn't surprise me at all that they were effective. The key is creating the balance of getting to that more consistently. Now, that was complicated. Let's be honest. That was complicated by Lane going down with what he thinks is a stinger. And all of a sudden, Matt Pryor played very poorly.
Man, he was bad.
They moved. So you had that sort of little lull. It was the 4 3 and outs. I mean, when you talk about you're as strong as your weakest link, when your right tackle is just incapable of doing anything, it kind of derailed things. And then they made the move to Fred Johnson, and Fred was able to calm things down. And so you can do a little tweak like that made all the difference in the world. And then all of a sudden you have some time to throw the football and do some different things. But most of it is just the personality of the game. And once they got going, and then they have this reputation, and it's well earned and well deserved, not only in-house, because there are very few teams when you're playing like that, you're done. You're cooked. Most teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree.
They're cooked. But they can lean on, hey, we friggin' win this way, we win this way, we win this way. So they have this tremendous confidence that they're able to come back. We always talk about it. I always say that's Jalen Hurts' superpower, the relentless.
You've been talking about Jalen Hurts' resiliency for years on this show.
60-minute player. And sure enough, it showed up again. So, and then you have the human nature. I guarantee after that touchdown in the third quarter, the Rams breathed a sigh of relief and said, all right, we got them. We got them now. And then comes that drive where I said, big go route, seam route, bang, bang, touchdown. Yep. And you could almost feel the doubt creeping into their minds. They're like, oh, shit. And then they get tight. Sort of the NFL. It happens all the time. But I always point back to Jim Schwartz because he's the one who told me every game's got a personality. Every single one of them. And it's not only the Eagles. You see it all the time with teams go up and down the field. And they lose these. They play 3 bad quarters of football. And then all of a sudden, why? Everybody says, why? Why? Where was that? Where was that? A lot of it's the psyche of the other team. But when they get going and they got going, it could be impressive throwing the football. And they were still in a position, the Rams, to steal the game with the Carty field goal. And then, what can you say about Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis on those blocked field goals? Now, the kicker went from being the special teams player of the week to being the GOAT, which is amazing because he did a tremendous job on the kickoffs and he's kicking all the field goals, but he was kicking it low and they saw it and they did a good job, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, of doing that. But again, man, I don't want to count on blocked field goals to win games.
No, I hear you. But I mean, I think that part of it was circumstantial where it was so bad in the first. I mean, -1 passing yards and 33 yards. I know you chirped the fans for booing, but you got those guys out there, John. This is Philadelphia, my friend. They're going to get booed when they got 33 yards in the first half or whatever the hell it was. But, I think because of that, they had obviously a big climb. And even with the dominant second half, the way that they played, they still needed the heroics of Jordan Davis to block the field goal. Man, what a game he had, John. He is all over the football field. We talked about the rundown of Stafford, obviously the return kick, which is the flash play. But I think even outside of the flash plays, he's playing good football in the interior of that defensive line. To me, he looks like the best Eagles defensive tackle right now. Jalen Carter is not quite up to yet this year.
No, but I do think, you saw kind of, and I mentioned Jalen Carter, I think, deserves credit for setting the tone early for the Rams passing game, and that the fact that they were very concerned with the pass rush, even when it's not even about when it was there or when it wasn't there. They were very concerned. It was evident, and when you're apt to make mistakes. And again, there were a couple throws that Matthew Stafford makes in his sleep, and he didn't make them.
He just aired them. I don't even know. one of them, and
And that's because he's sped up and
Right.
he's trying to hurry. And all of a sudden, you get out of sorts, and an easy completion turns into a fourth down field goal. So I think Jalen Carter deserves credit as well. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Davis, obviously, it seems like we've been talking about his weight and his conditioning since he got here. And it's always a conversation every offseason, and he said the right things and paid the lip service. But this year he really did it, and you could see it from just an eye test standpoint. He lost a ton of weight, but he's still, up over 330 pounds. He's always been able. I pointed back to that Buffalo game where he chased down Josh Allen. He's always been this incredible athlete. That's why he was the 13th pick in the draft, because he ran a 40 at his size. But that is the fastest anybody's ever gotten up to, over 330 pounds in an NFL game, returning that kickoff. At least, it's the next gen stats era, which is only about a decade or so, but still, it's pretty impressive, his athleticism.
Yep.
And he's been playing well. But, I don't want to overstate. Jalen Carter's still the key to that all.
No, I know that. I'm just saying,
inside.
David, I mean, he had that 4th and 1 stop as well behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he had a great game. He had a great game.
Yeah, I just thought he had a really, really good
Probably going to be special teams player of the week. Can't be defensive player of the week because ex-Eagle Isaiah Rodgers did something nobody's ever done before. So he's going to be defensive player of the week. But, yeah, he's going to be special teams player of the week. I feel comfortable saying that. And, yeah, I mean, just a great performance. He's been great early in the season. And actually the Rams were pretty good running the football. So that, over the standpoint of the entire game, like Kyron Williams had a pretty good game. And he didn't put the ball on the ground. And he had the Rams should have won that game because of Kyron Williams, I think. So he deserves credit. So I think they did a pretty good job, actually. But yeah, Jordan Davis has had a great early season. And by the way, this is the toughest part of the Eagles schedule, and they're 3-0. I firmly believe that. I said it before the season. I said, this is the toughest part of their schedule going into Tampa. And Tampa's down a bunch of offensive linemen. I don't know who's going to play, who isn't going to play. They're not playing well, even though they're 3-0. They've come back in the last couple minutes in every single game. So they're living in that same margin of error the Eagles are. And the balloon is going to break for one of those teams next week. But even if the Eagles do lose that game, I mean, they got the Giants coming up twice. It eases up.
Yeah.
After Tampa.
I think you have Denver, New York. I forget who's week 7, and then New York again in week 8. I think that's how it goes.
Well, that's part of the problem, though, because New York is wholly ineffective offensively, and you might get a couple plays by Malik.
You got Minnesota, that's right, in week 7.
And who knows? And that's another team. So you got defense. Like, the Giants have nothing on offense. You're going to win both games because, but they could be ugly. Denver, strength of their team is their defense. Minnesota, they're playing Carson Wentz. Strength is Brian Flores in that defense. So it's like,
well, I think Carson Wentz, I think they put up a 48 burger yesterday or something. I forget.
Well, they did, but they had 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, they both came from Isaiah Rodgers, by the way.
Isaiah Rodgers.
So when people start shitting about, you'll hear of the Isaiah, because he's going to be defensive player of the week. But
John, real quick, we're going to get to Jeff Kerr, who's in the green room. We love talking to Jeff on a Monday morning. Last question, though, John. Did Kevin Patullo finally wake up Johnny Mack in the second half? I mean, I tell you what, that was like a different looking offense entirely.
That's amazing. How can people take a step back and say, hey, maybe it is the personality of the game instead of, oh, the guy's an idiot for 30 minutes and then he turns into Sean McVay in the last 30 minutes.
Maybe when they are as conservative as they were, John, it is pretty stupid. Like AJ Brown said, we have killers.
Then blame it on the head coach. Don't blame it on the coordinator, because the head coach sets that tone. And that's the way he wants to play the team. And by the way, I want to talk about Nick Sirianni, because when everybody talks about, and we can bring up Jeff whenever, because if he wants to talk about this,
I just want to wrap it because I'm going to take the segment.
If you asked 100 people in this league, forget about Jalen Hurts, you might get some people taking Jalen Hurts over this quarterback. That's good. I think if you talk to 100 people in this league outside the NovaCare complex, who's the better coach? They'd all say Sean McVay. Every fucking one of them would say Sean McVay. And every fucking one of them is group thinking wrong. The guy can't beat Nick Sirianni. He's the most overrated coach in football. Everybody's obsessed with scheme. Nick Sirianni said it last week. Players, plays, formations. It's about the players first, not fucking Sean McVay's scheme, not Kevin Patullo's scheme, not Nick Sirianni's scheme. Build your team around the talent you have. All I know is the guy beats the shit out of Sean McVay every single time, and it ends up, even when he's got a 26-7 lead and he's in the freaking, easy pass lane, he can't get through it.
Too conservative, John. He's a shrimp when it comes in those big moments.
And then we call it, whether he's too conservative or not, because they say the same thing. I don't care what people say. He's a better football coach, and nobody knows it because they're all in this groupthink hive. Oh, what a scheme. I don't give a shit about your scheme. Change your scheme because your quarterback's 37 years old.
Well, the scheme's not bad, but you got a 4th and 2 to put the Eagles to bed. You can't just kick a field goal there. Come on, Sean. But I agree with you overall at large. Good stuff there. Great opening segment. I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here. We've got a big crowd in here. Birds moved to 3-0, everybody. A crazy game yesterday. You got a little bit of everything, and I thought the Eagles learned a lot about themselves yesterday. That was an early adversity game for me where I thought that's good for a locker room. That's good for confidence. That's good for the coordinator. It's good for the quarterback, for the wide receivers. I thought it was good for everybody. So good stuff there in the opening segment. Let's go to our main man, Jeff Kerr, set to join us right here on Birds 365. You can read him at CBS Sports and follow him at Jeff Kerr CBS. Jeff, good Monday morning to you, my friend. How you feeling after week 3? Eagles comeback win over the Rams.
I mean, how am I supposed to feel? That's probably the craziest game I've ever covered.
Wow,
and I've covered some crazy ones.
Yeah, wait, you don't get to see walk-off field goal.
No, you don't.
Too many.
I just gotta say, as someone, I talk to Jordan Davis every week. I am so happy for that guy. Like, just everything he's been through to just lose weight and to get in the shape he's in. And Jahad Campbell said it yesterday. I always knew he was that fast. That you always heard the stories. Fred Johnson, I'm happy for his big ass. Like I just I love it. Like it was, you heard so many great stories. And even talking to Davis one-on-one after the game yesterday, I said, do you ever think you could run like 18.59 miles per hour? He said, I think I could be faster, honestly. Like, he thought that was slow.
People forget the Josh Allen play.
Yeah,
that was 345, 350
for him.
Yeah, him and I actually joke about the Josh Allen play every once in a while, because remember how exhausted he was after that play?
Yeah.
I don't think he gets exhausted after those plays anymore.
No, well, that's the key, because the whole reason he was picked 13th overall is because he ran, and he mentioned that to Garofolo after the game when he was getting interviewed. He ran a 4.78 at 345 pounds, whatever, which is obscene. That's why he was drafted at 13th overall. And, people projected that into being a better pass rusher, and all of that has to do with technique and conditioning and all that kind of stuff. But he's always been able to run for his size, always. People just got to see it. Defensive linemen don't get that opportunity to have that much open field, and he kicked it in.
Really an amazing game for Jordan Davis, though. He had the 4th and 1 stuff behind the line of scrimmage. He had the run down the sack of Matthew Stafford's, Jeff, that you talked about. He had the kick return block. And I think he just looks like a force on the interior of that D-line, Jeff. He is really having a good start to his year. I think year number 4 for Jordan Davis right now.
I'll tell you what, more on that last play, by the way. I talked to enough players from that field goal block. I was actually talking to Cindy Brown right immediately after the game. I just saw him at his locker, and I just wanted to ask him. I said, "Hey, you were right behind him. Like, what were you seeing?" He goes, "Honestly, I was just trying to get my spot." And, he said Jordan and Jalen Carter were saying, "Hey, read the angle, do this, do what we did last time." And he said, they pretty much gave it away to the Rams what they were doing. And Davis decided to audible and just went straight. And he saw that weakness. He saw that Kevin Dotson was out and went after what's the guy's name, John? Zimmer.
Yeah, they obviously, but also, Cardi was kicking it low. They also saw that.
Yeah, did you know this, John? So Davis said to me after the game, I wrote about on CBS Sports, it's coming out today, that him and Carter were actually not lined up together on field goals and like field goal blocks, and Davis recommended they would do that to Michael Clay this week.
Yeah, I'm going to be interested. I'm very interested to talk to Michael on. We'll do that tomorrow about that particular, like what goes into that. Like the Eagles called the timeout to ice the kicker, which generally isn't that big of a deal. But were they talking about it? I think it was mainly just Davis and Carter putting their heads together and saying, "All right, this looks like as you mentioned, Kevin Dotson, who's their starting guard, and they had to go to Bo Limmer, who
that's who it was, Bo Limmer. That's right.
Who evidently is a weak point. Similar. You saw it on the other side when Matt Pryor had to come in for Lane Johnson. When you have that weak point, sometimes the whole thing falls apart. And Fred was able to calm that down for the Eagles offensively, Fred Johnson. But when you have that weak point, the whole thing can crumble. And that's sort of what happened to the Rams. But also Cardi, who, again, was phenomenal. I was like, this is the player of the game. His kickoffs are unbelible.
Yeah, those knuckleballs were great.
Oh, my God. They couldn't catch it.
Yeah, they couldn't catch it. It was almost like funny to watch that we literally couldn't.
Yeah.
Cardi had a tremendous game, and he had 2 block kicks in the fourth.
I know. You're saying this guy's going to be the MVP of the game, literally, because the Rams couldn't score, and they kept, Matthew Stafford kept missing layups, and all of a sudden potential touchdowns turned into field goals, and he's banging everything through, and he's got these kickoffs, and you're like, well, this guy's going to be the player of the game. And all of a sudden it's block. A lot of block field goals around the NFL yesterday. So that'll be interesting if people are starting to figure everything out.
The master of block field goals, Shelby Harris, had one of the biggest block field goals yesterday in that win over the Packers.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Also, that was part of my enjoyment yesterday. I work with a big Packers fan, and he hasn't shut up in about 2 weeks. I didn't hear a word out of him yesterday.
I'm a big Packers fan, if you haven't heard, but they lost.
Yeah, that was ugly. That was ugly.
Good teams don't lose to the Cleveland Browns, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. You talk about that was block field goal. As you mentioned, with Green Bay in a position to win the game, ugly win, but win the game. And the block field, I'm glad you brought that up, because it tells you when you're playing poorly against poor teams or against teams you should beat, and all of a sudden you get a block field, you're winning the game, you're going to walk, you're all patting each other on the back, you get a block field goal, and then the other crappy kicker, who they should have kept Dustin Hopkins, he banks through a 55-yarder and you lose, and your jaw is agape. To bring it back to the Eagles, that's why you need the larger margin of error. So I try to tell people all the time, don't put AJ Brown in this bullshit diva narrative. He's a very smart player, he's a very cerebral player. And I think he took his spot because he knew everybody was excited about the win and said, look, he gave the killer's quote. He goes, we got too many killers on this team, too many good players on this team to play as conservative as we've been playing.
Saquon Barkley said the same thing yesterday.
I thought it was brilliant, the timing of it. Are the Eagles going to listen? Are the Eagles going to listen?
AJ gets it. He really does.
So is Nick going to listen? Is Kevin Patullo going to listen?
He should listen. And look, I love how just the entire operation of that win went yesterday. Ed Kratz and I were talking to Fred Johnson late after everybody was surrounded him, and Milana was there, and all of a sudden you see Jalen Hurts, right? And Jalen goes, Big Fred. And like, you can tell Jalen loved what Fred Johnson did. I'm glad he mentioned him unprompted yesterday in his press conference, just saying he stepped up when he had to. And,
yeah, it was a big part of that game, man.
That prior, that's for sure. Who almost got him killed? Although that might have been on Saquon, that one blown block.
Oh my God! By the way, your boy,
he's not a good pass blocker.
No,
oh my God!
This year.
There are very few running backs good in pass protection, and actually, he was above average for most of last year.
He has a want to do it, which I appreciate.
Which is half the battle. Because most guys can't. But he has been brutal this year with pass protection.
I call Saquon Barkley. I compare him to Trey Turner. And again, this is me combining both sports here. Trey Turner didn't get paid $300 million to play defense.
Well, that's true.
And Saquon Barkley didn't get paid $20 million to pass block. It's the way it is. What it is.
That's true, but he's got to pick it up a little bit.
I agree with you. I agree.
And he'll be the first. By the way, he'll be the first to say it. I mean, but he was much better at it last year than he has been early this year.
By the way, John, speaking of AJ Brown, let's go back to him for a second. Did he just look like, something? Not even something woke up with him yesterday. It was like every time I'm getting the ball, something's going to happen.
Well,
no matter what.
I think he knows he wants the ball more through the first 3 weeks, and he made the most of every opportunity. Jeff, I described it. He looked like a man amongst boys.
Zander, he had 35 receiving yards on the season through 10 quarters.
I know.
Then he had 38 on one play.
This is where I'll never agree, and I can never subscribe fully, even winning 19 of 20 games. Sorry, that's unacceptable. There's no reason to have 35 yards.
But the only point, it is unacceptable. I've said pretty consistently it's unacceptable. But the only point I bring up is it happened last year too, but it didn't happen in weeks 1 and weeks 2. So you don't have these ugly stats, which everybody's obsessed with stats, on a piece of paper early in the season when you can say, AJ Brown's got 35 yards through 10 quarters. They had the Baltimore. This was the Baltimore and Carolina game back to back where they threw for like a combined 220 yards or whatever it was. That's what Dallas and Kansas City were. That was the Baltimore and the Carolina game. And then what came next? Pittsburgh. What came next this year? It was this game.
Even Washington, they were throwing the ball a lot.
Well, yeah, but that was Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, but they were sort of throwing it early in that game too before Jalen.
Well, they were very successful when Jalen left. They were ahead 7-0, I believe, and going in to score.
Yeah, Saquon had the big touchdown run in that game too.
So yeah, you agree they got to get away from this too conservative mentality.
Oh, I think they're too conservative, but I think there's enough. This is my honest opinion on this team, and some of it's based on what I've heard. They just fully believe in the whole, we are not going to beat ourselves, even if we have to be ultra conservative to do that. We are going to let the Los Angeles Rams beat themselves. We are going to let the Kansas City Chiefs beat themselves. Again, Eagles had a turnover yesterday. It led to 7 points, and the Rams still made more errors than they did.
Yeah, well, every time they walked up the field at 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, Vic Fangio was like, "Ooh, thank you very much. I'll take that bend but don't break. I'll take that field goal right there. 4 straight field goals."
Why can't? Well, by the way, Jeff, why can't the god of football coaching be?
I knew you were going to mention
the dummy that is Nick Sirianni.
Yeah.
Why can't he find a way?
Nick Sirianni's never lost to him.
Yeah,
4-0 against Sean McVay.
I'm well aware. Nobody else is aware. I'm well aware.
Why?
Nick and Jalen 4-0 versus McVay and Stafford.
But what bothers me about McVay, and I do like McVay, but I agree with you, John. I think he's overrated.
By the way, he's a good coach. But he is over.
So, John, to your point, it's a more encompassing position than people believe. And they look at the team and he's great offensive mind. There's more to being a great head coach.
Yes.
Clearly, Nick is better at the other stuff that
yes.
is. Do you think people just overrate him because he's like 40 years old and can name everybody on a defense?
Well, I mean, to be fair,
I
know you guys have your criticisms of him, and I do too, because I think he's too conservative in certain moments. But he's 39 years old. He's still one of the youngest coaches in the league. He's been coaching for 8 or 9 years now. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's got 2 NFC titles, I think. Like, he's got, you know what I mean? Like, he does have a pretty good resume.
Look, part of it, I was just embellishing for effect. He's a very good coach. I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah.
But when literally, because when I talk to people in this league, like, nobody would say Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Sean McVay. And to be perfectly honest, and I'm not even talking about fans, I'm talking about people in the industry. I don't think they get the enormity of the position.
Yeah.
I don't think they do either. I agree with you, John. Like, look, Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Sean McVay. Nick Sirianni, in my mind, is top 2 in the NFL.
Well, John, to your point, and to Jeff, to your point too, but John, you have kind of been talking about this since Nick was hired, where people think the head coaching position is so much less than what it really is. And, all the other stuff is a lot more important than whether he's calling the plays on Sunday, which I know people put stock in, but there's a lot more to that job. And John, you kind of educated me.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been on the CEO coach bandwagon since Tom Coughlin explained it to me many years ago, where I thought that's the proper way to do it. And too many teams are hiring play callers, whether they're offensive play callers or defensive play callers. And the enormity of the position. I mean, there's logistics. There's dealing with the media. You got to set up. You got to massage all these players. So everybody thinks, well, AJ's saying this and Saquon's saying this and Jalen's saying. You got to get them all on the same page. And you're worried about, that third down call was too conservative. Like, these people are missing the boat, man.
Here's one of Nick Sirianni's CEO decisions, John. Did you know that the Eagles are likely leaving for Tampa on Friday so you can get used to the heat?
Yeah, little shit.
Is that what you're doing this week?
That's what I'm hearing.
All that shit. That would surprise me, but
yeah, because normally they're like they try.
Yeah, I mean nothing's final, obviously, but I know it's under consideration.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, they've had trouble with it. I would actually criticize Nick for that. I haven't heard that, but I would criticize him that because you're playing into it. You're playing into the troubles you had there. If you do that, and you're not going to be able to acclimate to Tampa Heat.
So I know the Eagles don't play well against this team, but they don't play well in that stadium. But I'm just going to say this right now. I've watched all 3 Bucs games. They are so lucky they're 3-0.
They're living on the same edge the Eagles are living on.
And I love this Bucs team, by the way. I love Baker Mayfield. I love how Baker Mayfield.
By the way, Mike Evans got hurt. Mike Evans ain't playing.
I think Godwin's coming back, and I think potentially who's the guy they were about to
maybe Tristan Wirfs might be back.
Which would be big for them. I mean, Tristan Wirfs is obviously a big time left tackle. So we'll see about them. That's going to be a great game.
By the way, John, did you hear the spite with Baker Mayfield yesterday? He had the quote. Steve Wilkes is the guy who got rid of me in Carolina. And Hassan Reddick, we all know his situation with the Jets. He had a sack today. I love how he just points that out.
Yeah. Hassan Reddick's playing pretty good for them down there.
Yeah, he is. Hassan Reddick's a good player.
He is a good player, but Hassan has a situation with every team. He'll have a situation with Tampa.
He will. He'll wear Al's welcome there.
The situation, that's what I called it. The situation when he was holding in here.
It's not Mike the situation. It's Hassan the situation.
Yeah. A good guy, though. Hassan's a really good guy. But, hey, and I defended him because you have to take advantage of your – when you have a year like he had here in 2022, you have to take advantage of that. your leverage and try to get as much money as possible. But
John, you know a quietly good game yesterday, by the way? Quinyon Mitchell.
Yeah,
yeah, he was very good.
He got beat a couple times, and
Which, by the way, but I'm a little surprised, but evidently, that tells you the Rams never put him in the slot. But he was, for those who don't obsessed with traveling, he was traveling with Devontae Adams.
Yep.
And Christian Parker already said, like, if somebody goes in the slot like CeeDee Lamb, we can't travel because they're not going to move him in the slot. But so that tells you another thing about Sean McVay. He's very static, which enables you to do things like that. Boy, yeah. Anyway, I need to do a 4-hour show on Nick Sirianni being a better coach.
You know what? I want to do a show on. I'm seeing it on my TV right now. Micah Parsons quote: "Even the best Super Bowl champs make mistakes."
Oh yeah, well that's true.
I agree with him, but
well, every team makes. How many mistakes did the Eagles make yesterday?
At least 4 or 5.
All right,
4 or 5. There's about 40 or 50 in the first half alone. Everybody makes mistakes. It's an imperfect game.
Jeff, there's something I got to run by. I disagree with Johnny Mack on it this morning.
How dare you? I'm joking.
We talked about the passing game and how much it came to life in the second half. And you hear what A.J. Brown said at his locker room after the game. We have killers. We don't have to play this way. You heard Jalen Hurts in his post-game press conference with Pam. We showed who we are in the second half. We got to play. We got to stop playing to not lose and play our brand of football. You heard that kind of throughout the locker room yesterday, and you saw what they were capable of doing in the second half. John still thinks this is circumstantial, man, and they're going to play this conservative brand of football. And to his point, they have won 19-20. It's pretty hard to disagree with the results, but Nick Sirianni is a guy that listens to his players. He cares about his players. And now they're all saying, we want to play more aggressive. Will they play more aggressive, Jeff? I think they do.
They played more aggressive and they were down 19 points in the second half. I don't know if they're going to do that in a 3 or 7 point game.
So you're in the Johnny camp. You're in the Johnny
camp. Look, how can we argue with 17 straight wins when the quarterback starts and finishes these games?
Because we don't have to live on the edge.
Spoiled fan base. Spoiled fan base.
Bullshit, Jeff.
Spoiled.
5 yards for AJ.
Zander, when have you ever seen this team win 19 or 20 games?
No, 35 yards. Come on. There's a line. There's
Jeff Kerr is correct. I'm the arbiter of this. It is how could you Zander, I get your point, but how could you push back on this being a spoiled fucking fan base?
Well,
I mean,
I get that.
that is not debatable. Again, they gave up on this team after 30 minutes of shitty football after watching 18 of 19 wins. It's fine. Again, they're allowed to do it, but there should be some benefit of the doubt, some rope. And you've already seen this. You've already seen this last year. Bad game, good game. Passing perspective. Bad game, good game. Good game, bad game. You're going to see the same thing this year.
Yeah, I guess they like being that inconsistent. I mean, sure enough, it exactly articulates the way I feel about it. He says, playing conservative is for a team that lacks talent. That ain't this team. I agree. We don't
showed up. Did you enjoy that Super Bowl championship? Because guess what? They played a whole season basically conservative.
I'm telling you guys, this is why I get so tired of football today. I'd rather have Joe Burrow and his 450 passing yards.
And that's from the stat guy, Jeff Kerr.
Yeah, I'm a stat guy, by the way.
Last year, though, and you know this, and you've talked about this more than anybody. That was a historic season for Saquon, and historic seasons don't come every year.
So well, I agree, and that's been the biggest problem. That's been the biggest problem. The running game has been the biggest problem. But to say they didn't play conservative last year, you're not paying attention.
No, they did. There's no doubt. I mean, you're right. Until the Super Bowl, or really until the NFC title game.
There's a reason Jeff had the number. What was it? 39-8 coming into the game.
Yeah, it's it's 39 or 40-9 now or something.
Yeah, 40-9 now.
Yesterday, buddy.
After because it was 1-1, but 39-8. You don't do that by throwing the football all over the freaking lot. And what was their one turnover yesterday? Dropping back, trying to throw the football. Matt Pryor can't block Jared Burris.
It was dropping back, but our boy Matt Pryor got lit up.
I mean, honestly,
well, guess what? That happens in the NFL. If you run the football, now you might fumble it. It's possible. Kyron Williams exists.
I hear you.
But
the
you're
Rams
much
lost to
less.
the Eagles last year because they fumbled the ball twice in the
Yep.
season.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
But don't you guys think like where is the fine line? Like I get
they're
it.
trying to find
you don't want to turn the ball over, but it's like, John, just to use a different analogy. I mean, I could die every time I get in my car. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean I'm not going to drive. Like I know you could fumble. I know you could throw an interception, but you got.
I'm not defending it. I'm saying I've been the one who said I thought they were unfair to Jalen Hurts after week 4 last season when they scaled it all back. I thought it was too soon. I thought it was alarmist. I thought it was a mistake, but they won. They won 17 of 18 games.
The only game they lost was when the quarterback got hurt.
And they were emboldened by it. And they should be, because they have a Lombardi trophy because of it. So
it's not necessarily your opinion. You're just saying this is what the Eagles' philosophy is going to be.
I mean, look, Zander, I want them to be more aggressive too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but I can't.
This is not my philosophy. I'm not. I'm the one who said from day one, even after they won the Super Bowl, I didn't shit. I thought they were unfair to Jalen Hurts, but they won the Super Bowl.
Dude, they got to let him out of this straitjacket.
I'm not going to argue with winning. I have seen Ray Rhodes coach this team. I have seen Rich Kotite coach this team. I have seen some bad football growing up in my lifetime. I'm never going to see 19 or 20 wins again. I'm not. It's not going to happen.
No, well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
well, it might happen. It might happen.
That is the hardest thing, honestly. That is the hardest thing to gauge when you're like me, and I want to get A.J. Brown involved more consistently. I want to keep the straitjacket off Jalen Hurts. I don't really have a response that they've won 19 of 20 games.
Well, the same people pumping this up, if they threw it 40 times in Tampa and there's 3 picks because Todd Bowles is Todd Bowles, oh boy.
Yeah, but again, that's
80 bar the door.
Like, they don't need to do that. I'm not asking
them. Well, here's the thing, too, Zander. The game called for them to pass the ball.
Yes.
Down all those.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tried to get Nick to talk about that. He didn't bite.
So
no, he did not bite on you.
Where does the truth lie then? Is it the gray area? Is it just be so conservative to the point that A.J. Brown has 35 yards through 10 quarters? Again,
that part of it takes care. That part of it, that's what I'm trying to get across. Mm-hmm. That part of it takes care of itself.
So you let the game dictate to you, though.
Well, the game always dictates to you. The personality of the game always dictates. Now, to Nick's point, he said you want to dictate as an offense to the defense, not vice versa. That's a different conversation. But the personality of the game always dictates the way you have to play. That's why what do I hate most in the world, Zander? Hey, what's the run-pass ratio going to be?
Depends on how the game goes.
Exactly. You're at the mercy of the personality of the game. Guess what? The run-pass ratio wasn't as run-heavy yesterday because they were down 26-7.
And they were playing those 8-man. They still had those 8-man fronts, even when they were up that much.
Well,
it's crazy.
Because Sean McVay's a dummy, but I digress. Now I'm joking.
I believe in abundance. He's not getting involved.
I'm joking. That's
what's crazy about this whole thing was in the second quarter when they had their stretch where they had 14 plays for -3 yards. Jalen Hurts had Jahan Dotson open and just flat out missed him. And I thought that was going to be the play.
There's a lot of times that I brought this up and people hate it. The throws that were there, too often they don't come out on time. That has not changed.
And a lot of that may have to do with the offensive line. It's maybe a trust thing.
Possibly.
Yeah, how much of it has to do with the fact that they've beaten into the quarterback's head? You can't turn the ball over. So every time he thinks he has a throw, and windows in the NFL are minuscule.
Fair point.
Yep.
Maybe a fair point.
And you know what? And you know what, Zander?
No choice. Jalen, if the window's tight, you got to throw it or we're not winning the football game. And look at how good it looked.
And you know what, Xander? Josh Allen, I know the Bills tell him that too. The only difference is the Bills aren't ahead all the time like the Eagles are.
Personality takes care of it. Like the assumption that people thought the entire season would play out and AJ would have whatever he had, 35 years. I mean, come on. Who believed that?
That was going to turn around some point. It just is.
You're gonna struggle in the game. You're gonna be behind. The passing game's gonna be back involved. He's gonna make plays. That part of it will take care of itself. How you play, though, over a larger sample size, the Eagles are going to lean on their offensive line and running. I mean, why wouldn't they?
It's the strength of their football.
You're right, but I have confidence enough that Jalen Hurts is a cerebral enough player and a smart enough player to let him out of the straitjacket and say to him, we can't have a boatload of turnovers. Now, I know you can largely, the game, you can't factor in everything, but I don't think taking off the straitjacket just means they're going to have a shit ton more turnovers. Yeah, they're going to have some more, but they also might improve their margin for error by 50%. And they don't have to squeak by the Cowboys, who just got by the Bears.
So you agree with me at week 4. See, nobody agreed with me at week 4. Now everybody's preaching the same thing.
Yeah, because you know why? Because their fantasy team ain't doing so well.
Because, the turnovers weren't acceptable in Brazil, and they won the game, by the way, last year.
Tampa Bay was the real turning point for this team in terms of
and Tampa Bay, they didn't have AJ, Devontae, or Lane. That to me was the dumbest narrative of all.
By the way, John, did you know? Like I asked Fred Johnson this straight up, and he came up unprompted, and Balada backed him up. He did not play right tackle all week, all season. Last time he played right tackle in the game was that game.
Yeah, we knew that. I mean, they were doing left, right. Matt's the backup on the right side, right tackle, right guard. Fred's the backup on the left side, left tackle, left guard. That's how they've been working it really since he got back. And Matt shit the bed, and you gotta do what you need to do in the moment. And Fred deserves a lot of credit for holding down the fort as he did last year. And I think Lane is going to play. At least that's the presumption, but he's not a doctor.
I saw Lane yesterday. I didn't get a chance to. I think Jeff McClain did get to ask him though.
Yeah, he said stinger. Well, he thinks, but
that makes me nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
But again, players aren't doctors, so they can't. So
John, how happy were you? We haven't mentioned your favorite play in 30 minutes.
What play is that? The bubble screen?
Yeah, that play. The play Lane may have gotten hurt on.
No, I don't talk about that play.
Jeff. You were at the game yesterday, right? You were.
Oh, of course.
Two ball starts, and they don't see either of them.
It's awesome,
guys. Let me tell you. All right, just from watching the telecast, they were literally zooming in and showing every angle at 0.2 speed. I'm like,
of course they were.
If you zoom in on every offensive line in football, you're going to see some movement every freaking.
You know what? This is why I don't like social media.
Come on.
Oh, it was bullshit.
I'm an old man sitting up in the press box, and you can ask. I'll get Brooke over on the show because he was sitting right next to me in real time. I said false start Tyler Steen. Give me a fucking break, dude. That was so obvious.
Oh man, I didn't notice that.
You know what my favorite part about this whole thing is? To add to your point, Xander, the slow-mo. Reed Blankenship said, hey, there's a push-off yesterday, too, on Devontae.
Yeah.
It's not called. They missed calls.
First of all,
we deal with it.
Reed got caught watching on that, though. He's got to get deep. You never chasing Devontae Adams down.
They missed, and that should have been OPI, but savvy receivers.
Yeah, but Reed's not going to care. He said, hey, look, it is what it is. It's football.
I'm the last person to give a shit. I don't care that they missed the call. I'm just saying it's a shit show, and they can't officiate it. That's all.
Yeah, and why can't they
stop talking about that shit show of a play? The Eagles don't even need it.
That's why I don't like Mike Pereira, and that's why I don't like Dee Blandino, because they were so bad at their jobs when they actually had those jobs, and they're still defending the people they created that are bad at their jobs. I can't stand
I'm totally there. I totally defer. Fans hate officials, but they don't realize they don't hate officials. They hate the legislation. Dean and who, by the way, I think Dean Blandino, I say it all the time, was the best vice president of officiating ever in the NFL. Here's why I say that.
He was better than Pereira.
Every single play I could predict how they were going to do in instant replay because Dean made it that consistent. That's all I'm looking for, consistency. I think he was the best they've ever had. But people hate the legislation. They don't like the taunting calls. They suck.
Oh, they're terrible. Puka Nakua's taunting call was a joke. I didn't know what he did.
But as Nick, and credit to Nick, he said, this is their emphasis. They want this out of the game. This is how tight they're going to call it. This is what they told the officials to do. So don't blame the officials. They're doing what they're told to do. Blame the legislation, the shitty rule, which I agree with you.
Well, it's the same with Pereira.
They also called Fox and said, make sure you slow-mo every push.
Oh, come on.
From 14 different angles.
Stop it.
It's so obvious.
TB is stupid, and they play to the lowest common denominator. People like talking about the tush push, so they play it up.
John,
I'm not saying they don't play it up.
What do I say to you all the time? There are more stupid people than smart people.
Yeah.
100%.
As far as the play itself, the Eagles don't need it. They can't officiate it.
Tyler's team do need it though when they play with such a small margin for error. If they threw to AJ Brown a little more and let it
no, because they would be the number one ranked team in traditional quarterback sneaks as well. And
well,
they were. They
Guys,
were with Carson. You could go all the way back to Carson fucking Wentz. You don't even have to go back to Jalen Hurts.
They were 11 of 12 in 2021 before they even thought of that play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they've been the best team in quarterback sneaks for a very long time before the tush push even was a thing.
Who was it to me? Oh, Zadarius Smith. He's told me this on Wednesday. We were talking about because I wanted to ask him his perspective when he was on Detroit. About, do you guys plan to defend that play? And he said, we did. He said, but Dan Campbell even said it. It's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
It's Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
That's why he has a complaint about.
And that's why, and I'm talking up Nick Sirianni this morning. Here's where I'll rip Nick. Nick is like, we work on this hard. No, it's fucking Jalen Hurts. And he's going to be successful at it no matter what. You guys don't practice. You guys don't hit. You guys jump off sides.
I am going to tell you guys this something too. And John, you know this. Look, I've had experience dealing with people who want to get something removed in sports. People, even if they agree with the play, they'll get it removed to get rid of a competitive advantage for a better team. They just will.
I know. Well, it depends. Like, I always bring up Bob Gibson in baseball. If at some point it's hurting the game as a whole and it becomes a less aesthetic experience, because ultimately it's entertainment. Ultimately, they're trying to make the game entertaining for the fans. If it gets too boring, in the case of Bob Gibson, too dominant because they lower the pitching mound to make him less dominant. Will Chamberlain, goaltending. You brought up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So college basketball banned the dunk for a year because nobody else could do it. They're not trying to make the Cardinals lose or UCLA lose or the Sixers, the Warriors, or
whoever,
the Lakers lose with Will Chamberlain. They're trying to make the game more aesthetic. Most recently, it was baseball with the shift, which it took them way too long.
I hated the shift. Personally.
Everybody hated the shift. It was the easiest fix ever, and it took them way too long. 2 players on one side of the infield, 2 players on the other side of the infield. Bang! All right, you solved the problem.
Ryan Howard was a career 290 hitter before the shift.
Yeah, well, there were so many. Now they don't care about batting average, but. There were so many good hitters and they could take the ball either way. And it's just the game was more entertaining. So they're trying to make the game more entertaining. In football, I said the best argument, the only argument I will listen to keep this play in is this stupid, and people get tied up in the NFL's stupid thought process because they're playing public relations. I can stipulate to that. So they make up things. It might be safety. It might be it's too hard to officiate.
Aesthetically pleasing, whatever it is.
It might be that. Bottom line is they want it out of the game. How do they get it out of the game? That's what they're trying to circumvent. But what the NFL, the joke about the NFL is they could have the Eagles painting a house on the field and people are going to watch. There's no evidence that boring play is going to stop people from watching this game. Until there is, I don't listen to any of that bullshit. Yeah. That has nothing to do with it.
And here's the proof in the pudding. The Eagles had the highest kickoff rating for a kickoff game. I don't care if they were playing the Cowboys. It was still the Eagles. And the Eagles-Chiefs game was the most watched Week 2 game ever on.
By the way, they're manipulating those numbers too. Don't even cite.
Oh yeah, they are.
Numbers.
They are.
Because now they're conflating streaming viewers with regular viewers and they're pumping up these numbers. Yeah. They're a fraud. The whole league is a fraud. I can tell you 7 different ways from Sunday. So I don't cite those numbers because I know they're fraudulent. But people watch this game. It's the only thing they watch. They're going to watch it if there's 18 tush pushes and 18 controversies. So that part of it is a lie. Why they want it out of the game is because they can't identify that Tyler Steen is jumping off sides. They can't identify that the other team, Kansas City, last week is lined up off sides. They can't even identify when the Kansas City player is trying to punch the football away from Cam Jurgens. They can't freaking officiate the play.
But by the way, John, they're right by not being able to officiate because you can't review a penalty. If you call a false start and it's wrong, you're going to hear from them.
Jeff, I can never forgive you for bringing us down the tush-push route this morning.
Well, it was brought up again. It's always brought up.
I know.
I'm tired of hearing that being the reason the Eagles.
And the end. Oh, they're pissed off. Jordan Mailata. Say that to Jordan Mailata if you see that.
No. Remember when I asked Jordan Mailata on Wednesday? I said, I talked to him about this off the record too, but on the record, I asked him, why do you think people hate a 1-yard play so much? He goes, whoever said it wasn't aesthetically pleasing deserves jail time. By the way, that was Peter King.
Yeah, it was. It was Peter King. And also poor Caden Steele asked Jordan, the 6'8", 380-pound Jordan Mailata. Hey, what do you think of Adam Schefter's comments on the tour?
Yeah, Jordan went off.
I don't give a fuck about Adam Schefter.
Yeah, well, that was a good soundbite by Caden. So well done by him. He got the media talking about that clip.
Yeah. Well, Jordan.
By the way, how you guys like how Schefter kind of not reverse course, but
what a grifter he is too. Don't even you've gone me down the world.
Yeah. This
is the best of you, John. I love this.
Too. We can't get out the Schefter.
This league is a freaking joke, but for a different reason than people think it is.
You know what, John? This is why I like you, because you like, as much as you hate it, you like talking about it.
No, I don't. I hate talking about it. I hate talking. Ask DeCecco.
Man.
I would ban this from polite society. Nobody should ever talk about that stupid play again. And that's the reason I talk about it. Jalen Hurts is going to be the best quarterback sneak player in football with the tush push, without it. By the way, he already was.
I already compared him to Kareem and Wild and Gibson, and people just tried to eat my lunch. And I said, yeah, they said that back in the 60s too. Oh, by the way, buy Mike Sealski's book. He'll tell you.
Yeah. Guys, I got one final question for you, Jeff, before I let you run, brother. We appreciate it. We got Chris Franklin coming up too. Great win yesterday for the Birds. They moved to 3-0 on the year. All right, in a big explosive second half. Was Fred Johnson the best trade that Howie made of all of the August, September moves that he made?
There's a lot of dreck in those trades, by the way.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, look, the guy gave up.
John Mechie, they couldn't catch a caulk yesterday catch a nosebleed.
That might be a good thing. They can't catch a cold.
Hank Bigsby, what a difference maker! Hank, catch a freaking knuckleball, dude.
Yeah, I know. The Eagles started real quick. I'll let you answer on Fred, but they started at the 20, the 19, the 7, the 14, and the 21 yesterday. That's
why yardage is so overrated, by the way.
I know. But real quick, your response on the Fred Johnson thing.
I mean, he traded a 2026 6th, 7th round pick for this guy just to get him back. They clearly wanted him back. I thought it was a heck of. I actually wrote down my piece today about Fred Johnson, and I was kind of mocking Schefter. Well, the Eagles won this game in August because Howie Roseman decided to trade for Fred Johnson.
Yeah, look, I mean, I know correlation's not always causation, but when that guy came in the game, the offense turned it on because the play before, when Matt Pryor got absolutely ripped, Jared Verse destroyed Jalen Hurts and he fumbled it. So after that, that's when the offense really took
John,
off.
by the way, a little side hustle to this game. Were you with Jalen Carter yesterday? Did you get a chance to help? Did you see what he was wearing?
Yeah, he had versus chain. They were
they're buddies, right?
Yeah, they're buddies.
They are. They are.
They were going back and forth pregame. I'm sure he was allowed to wear it after the game. I'm sure. I didn't ask him. I assume that was the bets. Boy, these players, by the way, man, with these chains, oh man, a lot of money. A lot of money just hanging out there.
Fred Johnson gave me one of the best quotes ever. It was, whether I was good enough or not, we'll let the coaches decide. I'm just going to keep stacking those effing days.
Yeah, well, to Zander's point, I mean, weakest link, man. Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's not making plays. AJ's out there, but he's enabling AJ. What do I say about offensive football? If you can't block people, you can't play offense. And they lose one guy, Lane Johnson, and they had 4 consecutive 3-and-outs because they couldn't block people. And it could be just one guy.
Ask CJ Stroud what it's like to not have
exactly.
He's a good player. It's
very
not his
good.
fault.
Very good player.
By the way, his interception late yesterday against Jacksonville was one of the games I was watching after the game yesterday. Not his fault. Pressure on the end. Josh Hines-Allen was able to get there. Ball knocked out when he threw it. Had a receiver open.
In a lot of games, I haven't seen. I'll try to watch some stuff today, but I haven't seen a lot of it because we're bogged down. But I mean, Carolina, what was it, 30-0? Where'd that come from?
Michael Penix got benched.
Did he? And he looked great the week. Well, not great, but
he looked terrible.
Great. They looked great as a team. What a weird league.
Keep this in mind. The Carolina Panthers, who you and I were talking about yesterday, might have the worst defense in the league, pitched a shutout.
The Colts are 3-0, guys. Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones.
John, should I do it?
3-week MVP of this league.
Should I do what Saquon told me? Name a better quarterback in football right now.
Saquon loves Daniel.
I know he does. He loves
bros,
well, because I think there's a lot of people who shit on Daniel Jones for the same reason they shit on Saquon. So they have this, they had a really shitty supporting cast, and they look bad at times because of it. And I mean, they don't punt. Indeed, they finally punted yesterday.
Yeah, it only took them 2.5.
Yeah, one punt. I think they have one punt through 3 games. Yeah, no doubt. Even the Vikings put up 40 yesterday. It is a crazy league. It really is.
I also don't think Saquon was having I didn't explain it well enough to him. I did after we were done, and then he's able to give me a better answer.
Well, they're really close.
Yeah.
Saquon and Daniel.
Well, no, this wasn't even Daniel Jones. This was about Jalen yesterday. And I say, hey, look, this is, and you got to get the question now. So you're not really thinking about how you want to word it. And I asked him, look, with Jalen coming back like this is kind of the first time you've seen that. And he's like, well, we've always seen. I said, yeah, but Jalen's done this before you got here. Now you got to see it. You got to experience it. And you gave me a better answer after that, but it's.
Well, he's done it. He's done it when he was here too. I mean, he did it a bunch of times last year.
But not at this degree. This was like Buffalo 2023.
Well, very rare. I mean, that's the largest comeback, I believe, in Lincoln Financial Field history.
It is.
Yeah.
It's the largest comeback of Lincoln Financial. It's the largest comeback at home since 1988. Is their largest comeback.
19 points? Wow.
It is their largest comeback in the game since Miracle on the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know.
Here's another fun stat for you. You guys know the last time the Eagles blocked 2 field goals in the same game. September 21st, 1975, 50 years to the day. Also today, we celebrated the NFL Today debut. We had throwback
Wow.
stuff all day.
Wow, that's good. See, John, that is right there. That's Jeff Kerr in a nutshell.
Well, I knew the field goal block. I did not know the NFL today. But
By the way, John, there was a nice touch after Jordan Davis scored. Did you see what song was playing yesterday?
No, I can't say that.
Do you remember the 21st of September? It was September 21st yesterday.
I love Jeff Kerr, man.
I'm telling you, the only thing that would have made
that's like asking me what the Eagles wore, which I do know they wore. They wore their white jerseys. I do know.
No,
that.
did you see
that? I appreciate John's inability to know, but I also appreciate Jeff's ability to break out the song.
I don't give up. I don't give up.
Well, you know why I know that? Because one of my life dreams is to go on the Guardians of the Galaxy ride on this day. And
I don't.
Oh man, we got a Jeff Kerr singing on a Monday morning. I freaking love it. Jeff,
I'll tell you what. I am impressed by these stadium people. You know, they have the fireworks going. Like, who thinks of block field goals coming there, but they're ready. They're ready. Yeah. You got to give the pyro people credit.
I talk to the Eagles social media people a lot. They tell me like they plan a lot of stuff. Like
they do, evident, because they're ready to go.
Yeah,
they're ready to go.
I say, how do you guys do it? How do you guys get it up so quick? And it's like, you know, it turns into like a 20-minute conversation.
And most of them are Eagles fans. So, you know, you have that massive depression, like they're depressed because they're going to lose. And then they got to snap right back into it and say, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But
I'm just like, oh, okay, the Eagles won a game.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's, you know, the bad part of being objective is you don't get the joy. Because I don't.
Well, you don't get the pain either. You don't get anything.
No, I don't get it. Some people, because my biometrics don't work, some people call me soulless.
Yeah, they didn't work yesterday, did they?
No, they
have they worked at all?
They are not going to work this year. But Dom talked me off the ledge because I'm like, what the hell is the problem? Because I got Dom on the problem. He's the only guy who can fix anything, and he said if it makes it feel better, half of the coaching staff comes up red. Like the league is again, I'll rip the league. The league is a shit show. Half of the Eagles coaching staff comes up red on those stupid biometric tests.
You know who comes up red in the Phillies, and luckily everybody knows me there. I do.
Yeah. Well, that's the same. The only problem is I got stopped every 10 feet by a mall cop under, you know, after the game. That's the only problem.
They don't even know who you are, John. That's the sad part.
Well, they know, but they're afraid of losing their jobs. So if they let somebody down, remember the press. I don't know if you were there. Remember the press conference when a drunk guy got into Doug Peterson? It was Doug Peterson.
No, I wasn't there.
Completely ripped. And he asked a question, and Doug was like, "Who's this guy?"
So that's like Dr. Bruce getting it.
Very similar, except Dr. Bruce wasn't drunk.
Yeah, right.
No, he wasn't.
Guys, I got Jeff. We got to run, brother. We got Chris Franklin coming up. We appreciate you, man. As always, great stuff. We had a wide range of topics today, as we always do. Jeff, thank you for being here today, brother. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, sounds great. Enjoy the show, guys.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Great stuff today from Jeff.
A lot of off-topic biometric talk. We're getting in the weeds.
I was good with most. You guys lost me a little bit on the biometrics, but all good. We got some super chats, John. We got to rattle off. We got Chris Franklin coming up here in a second. Brian Garner checks in. What's up, Brian? Kickoff returns were a problem. Yeah, they were. Did Zadarius Smith play? Didn't see him much. Davis was special yesterday, blocking 2 field goals and chasing down Stafford on third down.
Zadarius played. He was in there. He played like 25 reps. That's where he is.
Philadelphian, John. You get on and you got things to bitch about before you got to give credit. That's how Philadelphia.
Yeah, the kickoffs were shit, but you don't have to worry about it because nobody else does what that guy does. So unless you play the Rams in the playoffs again, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Jared, what's up, Jared? Love you guys. What a win. What a game from top 3 QB1 in the NFL and big Jordan Davis. Go effing Birds. Love it. Good super chat from Jared.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Here's Billy.
Enjoy the win.
Yeah.
Dunk it. Enjoy the win.
Billy to Chicago says, can we talk about this Fred Johnson acquisition? Howie is a
Now,
genius.
come on.
He was a
Stop
huge
with
reason
the
for
Howie
that.
is a genius.
No, it was a good trade, though. I mean, clearly he was better.
Yeah, I mean, well, they wanted it back, and he
Yeah.
wanted a chance to go be a starter, and it wasn't working out in Jacksonville, so he gave up a 7th-round pick. Yeah, I had no problem with that. But
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think
he
it's
also
good winning on the margins. Not everybody.
yeah.
I think that's good. Vulnerable. What's up, brother? Thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, J-Mac, I know it's Monday. I know the Birds haven't lost yet, but I'll be curious if you stick to your guns when you pick Friday. History aside, the Bucks look really good. Happy Victory Monday, everybody. See, vulnerable.
Yeah, I don't think they do look that good.
Yeah,
I mean, they've won every game in the last minute, and Baker Mayfield deserves credit. Look, if he has the football with a chance to win the game, I'm not going to feel good about it. But no, I don't.
Injuries on the O-line. I think.
Yeah, they're down 3 starters now. A couple of them might be back. We'll have to see. Mike Evans hurt his hamstring again. He's out for a couple weeks. You don't have to worry about him. Chris Godwin is coming back, but again, he hasn't played for a long time. You think he's going to hit the ground running and be Chris Godwin right away? Now that rookie's really good.
Yeah, Abuka, I like him a lot.
But yeah, I'm picking the Eagles till they lose. I've said that. I mean, I'm not picking against them. They're down. They're dead in the water, and they found a way to win yesterday.
They win that game, vulnerable. It's going to be tough to knock this team off. Lauren Crampsey, what's up, Lauren? Fly the flock, baby. 98 and 90. They both had great. They both are good. Jordan Davis, I think he's really I think they're gonna give him a contract, John. That thing could be coming soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because the better he plays, the more money he's gonna get on the open market.
You got to get him paid now, but he might be like, I'm playing good enough. Let me play through the year. I don't know. Fleming says, hearing Jeff sing Earth, Wind, and Fire is a sacrilege. That's a classic song, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Daz says, how about them Packers, John? Super Bowl, am I right? I knew you were going to get this today.
Yeah. Well, people are very short-sighted. I didn't think the Packers were going undefeated, Daz. So defense was still pretty good.
They were going to lose 13-10 to the Browns, though. I don't know about that.
No, it's a bad loss. But again, look at the loss. They were in a position to win the game, get out of there. You get a blocked field goal, and then a crappy kicker kicks a 55-yarder. Again, that I use that as evidence why you don't want to play on the margins, and you want to have that small margin of error. You don't want it. Guess what? You're all sticking your chest out. The Eagles were this close to losing that football game. They were this close to losing the football game against Dallas. They were this close to losing the football game against Kansas City. That's why you don't want to play on the margin of errors. But
that's why
that's
why you throw to AJ Brown, John.
Like, I don't give a rat's ass if the Packers win or lose. But if you ask me, I'm probably going to pick them to win more often than lose. Same thing with the Eagles.
Last one here, and we're getting to Chris Franklin coming up next here on Birds 365. Brian Pump. Beignets got smoked yesterday. Bennett got smoked yesterday. Sips tea. Yeah, Bennett doesn't look too good.
He wasn't out there that much. So.
No, but when he was out there, he doesn't. I don't know. I don't really think he's the answer.
No, well, that's one of the August trades. Oh, he's a genius.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But we'll see. Thomas Booker's winning that trade.
Yeah, he is, no doubt. All right, guys, good stuff. Appreciate everybody for being here. Hit that like button. Let's go to the man, the myth, the legend, Chris Franklin. He joins us right here on Birds 365. You can read him at NJ.com and follow him at C Franklin News. Chris, a good Monday morning to you, my friend. A victory Monday for the Philadelphia Eagles. How you doing this morning?
Not too bad. I was not expecting that game to end the way it did.
A lot of people. By the way, one of the security guards said he predicted it. I was like, you predicted a Jordan Davis walk-off blocked field goal? Because that guy should be playing the lottery if he's wasting.
He should be in Vegas right now, laying everything down.
His predictive skills are so impressive. He should not be wasting it on professional football.
Or is you time traveler? If that's the case, hey, why didn't you do a lot more than you did already? But yeah, that's to see that the way that game ended, and I was because I could the visitors locker room. I was like, well, I was going to see how it played out. Like, do I stay around the Eagles tunnel on that one too? I started walking down towards the visitors, like, oh, they're field goal range. This should be it. And then he hears, ah! And then in the little silhouette there, I go back and I'm like, let me try to see this. You see Howie jumping up and down, and all of a sudden you see this little image. Well, it's not little when it's Jordan Davis. It was like Jordan Davis is running down toward the back toward his. That just happened? What the
At
heck?
18.59 miles per hour, Chris Franklin.
That
Big number 90, getting it going.
He's running to a new contract. That's what he's running to. He's like sitting
Yeah.
there looking like, this has cost you guys $500,000 with the touchdown this did.
When that diesel engine gets moving, they can go. They can go quickly. You remember a couple years ago, we brought it up a couple times today. He ran down Josh Allen. Remember that play?
Yep, he ran that down. He might
Now
go
he was so winded afterwards because he wasn't in the greatest shape. Now he's in great shape. And remember when he's doing this so late in the game, you played 60 minutes of football. And he's playing more snaps than he ever has. It's only 3 games, but he is really, really having a breakout season. He's always a good player, but in a limited kind of way. Trying to look at how many snaps he played yesterday. 45. Because remember, the Rams were running the football effectively. So Morrow didn't play as much as he usually does because they didn't have as much obvious passing. He was out there for 45 snaps, and he's making plays late in the game. That's a really positive sign.
And when you look at the Jordan Davis when he first came in as a rookie, and the concern, like you mentioned, the concerns about the conditioning, and you saw glimpses of like, hey, you mentioned Josh Allen stuff. You've seen stuff where he would run down the backside, try to help out, since he's still in the vicinity. You're like, you can see the stuff there. And now that he's got that conditioning down, now that you see he's starting to put stuff together, this is the guy who like they hoped they took when they took him in the first round. And it took a while, but it's rounding into form. You see why he's an important part of this defense in there as well too. I'm just wondering if he's going to joke around Michael Clay saying, hey, you know what? You saw how fast I ran down. Can we get a fake field goal or something like that so I can run today? I can outrun some guys. So hey, why not do that?
Maybe he's going to get the fullback snaps. Everybody wants Mailata to play fullback.
I don't want Mailata. No. We need our left tackle. Well, honestly, we might need Jordan Davis too. Chris, we got to talk about that second half, man. The offense comes to life. AJ Brown's involved. Devontae Smith's involved. Dallas Goedert gets a seam pass for a touchdown. Is this how the Philadelphia Eagles should be playing, Chris Franklin? Should it take going down by 19 points to play like this, or are they right in their conservative approach? What'd you see yesterday, and how has it altered or changed your thought process on what this offense can do and what they should be doing?
See, I always thought when you have all 3 of those guys, when you have Jahan Dotson, even Mechie to some certain extent, that this is the way the offense should be, because listen, you can adapt to whatever you have. You saw Saquon Barkley didn't have the best of days at all running the ball. So at least if you have that, try to take a couple shots deep. And they did that. Like, I wish they did it earlier. If you're not running the ball effectively, take the shots deep, loosen up that secondary, make sure those safeties are like, okay, yeah, we can't start going down toward the box, and then I make that happen. And I like the way we know Hurts when he throws a deep ball, it's very effective because he gives his receivers a chance, and these guys to make contested catches. So I wish you saw that a little bit more earlier. I know there's some things to talk about first down play calling, what have you. That was a little conservative, yeah, but it's almost like they needed that. They needed that to see, like, oh yeah, we can still throw the ball, especially.
Yeah, it's the personality of the game, Chris. I mean, I tried to get Nick to bite on that because to me it's obvious. I mean, you're down 20, whatever. What was it? 26-7.
19 points.
You got to throw the ball. I mean, why? What am I missing? What don't people see? At that point, you're not playing well. You either crawl up and die and wait for next week, or you try to get back into game. And the only way you're going to get back into game is by throwing the football. So to me, it's obvious, but the bigger issue is, do you go away from your core identity of run game, offensive line, because you're successful in the second half against the Los Angeles Rams? I don't think they're going to do that. I'm not advocating either position. I just think they're not going to do that. They're going to lean on what they think the strength of this team is, and that's to be more conservative, unfortunately.
And I also wonder how much the Lane Johnson departure had to play a role in that as well too. That not wanting to get Hurts dinged up a lot, and
Well, I had to get
miraculously
Matt Pryor out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that. Trying to think of the way I put this one. I still don't understand that move whatsoever, and I know he's a veteran. I don't get that move. Put him attack. He's not a tackle in this league anymore.
He's a guard. He can't play tackle. He was cooked out there, Chris.
Well, I mean, they've been doing that since they got him back. I mean, he's the backup on the right side. That was the plan.
Yeah,
he was
right.
the backup on the right side, right guard, right tackle. Fred's the backup on the left side, left tackle. And that was the plan. But when the plan doesn't work, you got to adjust. So you got to give him credit for adjusting.
It got to the point where, and I was talking to Jared Burth after the game. They have a term they use. Like once they saw, and they knew it. Once Lane Johnson went out, they have a term they call the cone, and the cone is this the guy they think they can get the best guy.
I love Burst, by the way. I love Jared.
He's great. He's open and he's open and honest about that stuff. But yeah, he said there's a guy they have the defense they call a cone, so that they can go and attack it. And once he came in there, they designate him the cone, and they saw that, and they rushed and they got that too. So and they have it for every team. But
did Jared Verse get his chain back? Did he talk about his chain?
I don't think that was a long.
I didn't see it when I interviewed him. I didn't see it. He may have it. He probably does have it. It's probably like, okay, I want to take this.
I'm sure he's got it back because that thing's probably worth I don't know, $200,000.
Six digits.
Yeah.
Yep.
Easily. Yeah. But he before the game, him and Jalen were giving it to each other. I love him. He embraces it. He's the villain. I love Jared Burke.
Right. If you're gonna play it, I do like how he embraces it more than hides from it.
Great player too. Great
player.
Player.
Guy that if he was with the Eagles, everybody would love him because of that one too.
Yeah.
He's like Parsons in that sense, in that he's brash. He shows that bravado, but when he's on the field, he can make an impact and make plays. And
he backs it up, man. He backs it up.
Chris, I think yesterday's game had a big impact on Patullo. And what I mean by that is, when you come in as a first-year play caller and you have his amount of weapons and even more to that point, the expectations that come not only from fans. I know they're big from fans, but I believe they're big from the team. I believe they're big from the owner. I believe they're big from the general manager. I likened it to him getting in a Ferrari and you don't want to hit the curb. You don't want to, and you go 10 miles an hour because you don't know yet how to drive. And you're so afraid of messing it up that you're so conservative and soft with it. Well, yesterday he had no choice. He had to let it loose. And I thought it was a confidence game for Kevin Patullo in that regard because it shows you what they're capable of. Not that he didn't know it, but he never got a chance to be in the role that he was yesterday, to do it. Am I overstating it, or do you think, am I on to something with how big that was yesterday for Kevin Patullo?
It was, and it's also kind of funny because he was the former passing game coordinator, and the team's going back to doing a lot of running stuff for that. But I think, especially when it takes a while, especially for a play caller, to get used to flow, getting used to the setups, getting used to. And you're right. You don't want to. You still have to operate within the game plan of the head coach. You still want to do that as well. So you have all these guys. You got guys coming to you going, "Hey, get me the ball. Hey, I was open." That's a lot to juggle, especially when you're used to that.
Yeah.
This is why, especially the first time, it's going to take a few games. Even next week, probably the week after that, probably week 6 is probably usually when you can probably go, "Okay, this is when." We can start to see the true one, how he has it designed, how he has it set up, how he's setting everybody up as well too. So it's going to take a while. It's a learning curve amongst everything. I thought it was going to be a learning curve, especially the offense, to see it really getting going. Even though you had everybody there to get used to this new voice that's saying, "Hey, this is how we kind of want to attack." Even though he's been there for so long, everybody wants to put their little wrinkle onto the offense to say, "Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do here." So. Now that he's still learning, he's still learning, he's still getting used to everything like that. So, yeah, it's taken a while. I think that he sees on tape what this defense can do, especially against that Rams, because the Rams defense is no slouch. They still have a lot of good players on there. Now, see what happens too. It doesn't help that next week's the Buccaneers, but you can see that dude. I think you see more.
They're banged up, Chris Franklin. They're banged up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And they've been living on the edge just like the Eagles. They've been winning all these games in the last second. And I think they need to tighten things up a little bit in Tampa Bay, just like here. But since Zander went down the coaching route for you, how is it possible that the big emotional dummy keeps beating the greatest play schemer in the history of football? How is that possible? And by the way, if you get to 2 games, if you get to 2 days down the line, everybody will say Sean McVay is a better coach. Next year, they'll say Sean McVay is a better coach. 10 years down the road, when they're both going into Hall of Fame, probably more than that, Sean McVay is the better coach. Why can't people see that coaching is more than play calling in the moments?
I think we're seeing it right now. I know it's a lot of these guys, because if you make it look like, if you put up a lot of points, if you're the quote unquote pretty boy of the league when it comes to coaching and that, and also when you're, no offense, but it does happen. We see it when you with the media like us, and you talk to guys and around there, especially in LA, knowing that a certain network is pretty much has a good showing out there. You can just go over and go, "Hey guys, how you doing?" We saw the Super Bowl and stuff. He's doing that.
He
That
is a
kind of
nice
helps.
guy. He is a
Yeah,
nice guy.
it helps. It helps when people talk like that. But it is still, he just doesn't do well against the Fangio defense at all.
No, he
At
does
all.
not.
And you think by now, being that he can call Gruden if he wants to, you think he gets some help off of that? He just can't figure it out. And it also goes against the style of, he wants to push the ball down. Well, the biggest thing about the Vandy defense, we're not going to give up explosives. They did yesterday when we saw Adams against Blanco shit. We saw that, but yeah, it's something about that defense in there, and he has, and until he figures it out, it's going to still be that way too. And that's why we saw copycat stuff. But a lot of times when you see all these offensive guys, he's a rarity in terms of these offensive vocal gurus that become head coaches. And the fact that I think he does have some semblance of being able to communicate. Because look how many times we saw through the years, the Adam Gases. Personally, I think I think Ben Johnson's going to line up in this thing as well too, with the Bears head coach, and that they can scheme up anything. Everybody can scheme up whatever thing you do. Oh, this is going to be this. How do you effectively tell that wide receiver who might be having upset about the role that this guy is getting the ball more than that? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the messaging each week? You can't go out and go, all right, guys, let's do it. Because then you become Mike McDaniel. So there's
Yeah.
is a balance there. So
That's a good Mike McDaniel, by the way.
Yeah.
That is a tremendous Mike McDaniel impression.
I'm sorry, I don't have a vape with me, and I don't have like the all right, guys. And I love the line he said last week, a couple weeks ago. I find these guys and they still relate. So all right.
They got to get him out of there, Mike.
It is such a big job, and nobody knows it, man.
They couldn't
knows.
coach down there.
Even the owners don't know it. The owners who hire these coaches. Like, how do you, to bring up your point? I don't want to pick on Mike McDaniel because he seems like a good dude. But he is not somebody that people are gonna follow. He's just not.
It's just one of those things where I think you see these guys. A lot of these guys, they're from businesses, so I think they just want to look at what was their bottom line? They did this. Or I love how they hired those coaching firms, and they come down to the same person that everybody pretty much.
Yeah, those coaching. What a scam! I got to get involved with them. I'm going to hire. Well, I'm going to a headhunter for NFL coaches, and they come up with the same list of 7 names that everybody else is interviewing. What a scam those guys got going. That's a great gig.
Just say, just tell us who you want. We'll find the qualities in them that we can say make them better than whoever else they want, and then we'll say, see, we knew all along. Other people said this, so yeah, I don't get it, but that's pretty much. I think they just look and say, okay, they tried to lean on their business acumen more than they actually do the football and team building and chemistry acumen, and this is where you get some of these guys being the head coaches.
So should they build on what they did yesterday, Chris, in the second half, or do you expect them to go back to the conservative approach in football games?
I think it'll be an approach because it goes game by game and in the game plan or whatever. So I would not be surprised next week if we see more of the same. Maybe they're a little bit more balanced. Maybe they throw here and there a little bit more early on to test out But more and more, like we have guys like Vita Vea on the field. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to run them and try to wear them down early. And then you see if they try to get the passing game, or even then you double down the run because you have it winded or what have you. Good luck with that. And so, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same game plan. Run Barkley, try to get him going again. Try to be
What do you
more.
think is going on with Saquon, Chris? He's not, I'm surprised because he looked, if anything, this summer, he looked like he had more juice than last summer. And they get to the regular season, he doesn't look like the same guy. Is it time to bring up the touches again? Because he had a shitload of touches last year, and we know the history of running backs who handle the football that much. The downturn is coming. It's just a matter of when. Are we at the downturn? Is it fair to ask that question?
It's fair, but I just think the way the defenses are playing them. More teams are playing the zones against them now because they want to be able to see the run game. They know the passing game is going to be like that 10 to 15 yards. That's what they showed early on. It's in that 10 to 15 yard area. Hurts is showing that he's willing to dump the ball off to the running backs and everything else. They just want to have eyes on the line because they don't want to get beat by Hurts running. They don't want to get beat by Barkley trying to run down the thing. And they haven't.
They still get beat by Hurts running though. Nobody can figure that out.
It's when you have a effective quarterback who has vision and who be able to move basically be able to juke and do all stuff, play his foot and go and break tackles. That helps. But a lot of times when they haven't shown this is why I think maybe games like yesterday really will help. When you get the passing game, now it's in their mind. It's like, oh, they're going to run. Oh, they're going to run. Oh, they're going to run. And start seeing a step or two closer in the box, put more guys in the box. And the gaps are there. Teams are playing more sound. They know that you have to play more sound gap control and responsibility, which I wish the Eagles defensive left side yesterday early on in the first half did, because they were letting them get the backside cuts and everything. Teams know that with Saquon Barkley, you can't give him the backside cuts. You can't give him jump because you see that jump cut. You have to play gown, sound, 7-8 guys in each gap, A, B, and C. Play that sound enough so he doesn't get going, what have you. So more in that zone, more emphasis because he's Saquon Barkley now. You're starting to see his numbers going down. So it's going to take. So it may take a little creativity. I love that old wham block they used to run, the traps or what have you. Maybe you try to pull more of that things because these guys are trying to get up the field so much, try to get to them. Maybe you try to sucker one in, run behind them, and maybe that gets you 4, 5, 6 yards. It takes a little bit more different play design as well to try to get that run game going.
Maybe Tank Bigsby could help in the run game. He couldn't help in the kick
kickoff
return game.
Maybe he should go to Sissons Bank Park or whatever. Maybe see some grounders.
In all seriousness, that I know he lost the game with the field goal blocks, but those kickoffs are unbelievable. I don't know. That's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. They couldn't catch the ball. He's like Bill Negro out there throwing knuckleballs at them.
It makes it fun. It's one of those things like you rather him like, okay, take 2 steps back so you can try to like a running start to try to collect it and gather it, but it's an art.
Michael Clay mentioned it last week, and I'm like, all right, whatever. They got to go. Yeah, and they called it a weapon. It is a weapon. It is a weapon. I saw it live, and I'm like, oh my god, it's pretty impressive. But if you're a kicker and you keep getting your field goals blocked, you're not going to be able to have those kickoffs. So it's a give and take. But amazing game, as your point. We've seen so many games over the years. And then all of a sudden you see something new. It's pretty amazing. How many ways this team? This is the strength of they find ways to win games. Period. And if you had like that security guard, if you had blocked field goal walk off on your bingo card, God bless you. But add another one. How to win games. And for whatever reason, they don't get credit. Like most teams, if you're down 26-7, we know, Chris, the game's over with most teams. in this team, it's like I told Xander halftime I was feeling pretty good. I said, well, they settled for too many field goals. I'm like, this team's going to click in. They're going to score a touchdown. The Rams are going to start to say, oh, shit, we didn't take advantage of this. And I thought they'd get back in the game. But then you have the sack, and they score right away. And I'm like, all right, at that point, I was like, this is probably not the Eagles' day. And they're going to lose this game. Nope. They still find a way to come back and win in the craziest way possible. How much do you lean on that versus you can't keep playing this way because you can't keep relying on a CD Lamb drop or a Travis Kelce drop or a Jordan Davis block field goal?
It's funny because we mentioned that stuff, but I remember looking at next gen stats. They had a 91% chance to win. The Rams had a 91% chance to win that game at like 13 minutes in the third quarter. And you see that, and a lot of that goes into your player research and the fact that when those scouts go out, do they see these guys giving up on the sidelines in college? They see them just sitting back and just going, "Oh, I wonder what's for dinner." Yeah, this game's lost.
I was
Yeah,
wondering what was for dinner, by the way. It's good you point that out. I was like, oh, this game's lost. What's for dinner?
What type of cologne am I wearing? True
Yeah.
story, by the way.
Press box for a 1 o'clock game?
Yeah, after the game they give it. I'm doing I missed the food because I have to do the post game show, which I was pissed because I was hungry. And they clean it up.
You gotta get that shit in there, Johnny
They
Mac.
cleaned it. They clean up too early, but I digress. But yeah, I mean, I want to say you can't keep winning this way, but they keep inventing new ways to win.
It's almost like, the lack of nerd sound like a nerd or whatever, a DC nerd. It's almost like Doomsday. You beat them once, and it comes back, and they find a way to fill it and not do that. And it goes to the metal of the actual individual players in that. They can't. It's not sustainable. One of these days, you're going to lose that game. 9 times out of 10, you lose that game.
Man.
Well, I mean, I know we talked about being 19 of 20, which is obvious. I mean, it's undisputed. You can't argue that. But here's the thing with that. 17 of those games came when Saquon Barkley was in the middle of a historic season. So if you just factor in any level of regression, it's obviously been big through the first 3 weeks, but even if he gets back to Saquon form, any level of regression, your margin for error is going to be that much smaller because of that. So they're going to have to pick. I think they got to be more balanced. Period. End of sentence. I know they're 19 to 20. I'm not trying to say that what they've done to this point hasn't been successful, but the league changes quick. You know, teams adjust quick, and I think the next step for this team is to work AJ Brown and Devontae Smith more involved in this football team consistently, week in and week out. And boy, you couple that with their ability to find ways to win, they're going to be a tough team to beat. They're going to be a tough team to beat if they do that.
Yeah, and desperation makes you have to do things you're not comfortable with, and we saw what happened with that. They threw the ball.
Yeah, man.
Band-Aid off moment. I hope it wasn't just, I know, John, you said it too, Chris. It's the game, but I hope that's not the case, man. I hope that they come out and be aggressive. AJ Brown said it nicely after the game. We have killers on this team. You know, sometimes it feels like we play conservative. I get we're going to run the ball, but come on. We got AJ Brown. Get him in. You see what he does. You get one-on-one with AJ Brown. He's getting a first down. He's making a man miss a tackle. He's catching the ball like a big boy. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we got to keep working this in and make this a part of it. And it feels like the entire personnel, player-wise, wants to do that. It's the organizational philosophy that does.
Well, I don't know if the offensive line still wants to do it because they're the ones who went to the Nick last year at the bye and said, hey, let's lean on Saquon. And they like running the football.
I don't think they've been as dominant this year. I don't think they
haven't, but I brought up that context. Number one offensive line in the NFL. I mean, I don't think and it's not just Eagles fans. I don't think a lot of football fans in general watch football that's not from their favorite team and realize, okay, it maybe wasn't what it was last year when it was one of the great. I had that former GM tell me this is one of the best offensive lines of all time. That's what he told me.
Is that
right? What?
Was it Randy? Oh, no, you didn't catch that, guy.
Yeah. So anyway, to that point, it's not been at that level, But if you see some of the offensive line playing around the NFL, it's
bad.
better than everybody else.
It's bad right now.
Yeah. So
Coming back
that's
up
kind
there.
of the context of it. But to your point, last year they were historic. I keep looking for the PFF grades, but they haven't put them up yet. They generally put up the raw grades by now, but they haven't. I did see that our old buddy Isaiah Rodgers, get this, Chris Franklin, when people talk about the Eagles should have brought Isaiah back. The first perfect PFF grade ever in the history of Pro Bowl. They gave him a perfect grade.
Isaiah Rodgers just did?
Isaiah Rodgers, the first perfect grade ever, which, by the way, it's not possible to play a perfect football game. But anyway.
Do you think Howie's feeling like he missed on that?
Now,
It's going to cost too much for everything they were trying to accomplish right now.
Yeah, their mentality was
he got like $7 million. They made 6 trades in August.
The
multiple picks for 10.
Well, I've said this. I've said this pretty consistently, and the Eagles thought he's a great number 3 corner, but they think he has size limitations to not be a full-time starter. And yes, $8 million. I think he got $8 million. That's not a lot for a starter. It's a shitload for a third corner. You don't pay third corners $8 million. Now, having said that, Howie wanted him back, and
he would be the second corner on this football team.
He would be now.
I think they were banking on Ringo making a step.
Yes, no doubt about it. Again, everything comes down to evaluation.
Right.
And it didn't work out. Their evaluation didn't work out. And he had a great game. And don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a good player, but I don't think he's going to be getting perfect grades every week.
No, I don't either. But I do think he's a viable second cornerback. I mean, there's that clip of Howie that always floats around on social media. It's like, my biggest fear as a GM is a player that leaves our organization and we didn't know what he was capable of doing, and I don't know if that applies to Isaiah. I think to some extent it does because he's played well. And I think
this is where you can't get into one game stuff. So I just stumbled across it. So he had a 99.9, which is as high as they go. The first perfect grade they've ever given out. The second best grade they've ever given out, 2012 week 2, Matt Spaeth. Anybody remember Matt Spaeth? I don't. Lamar Jackson was third, got a 98.7. So we all know him. Andrew Whitworth got a 98.4, 2010 week 15, great player. Troy Reeder is number 5, who's still playing for the Rams, not very more of a special team. So you can have these performances. And Isaiah deserves credit. He had a hell of a performance, but anyway. Good guy too. Just want to give him his I'm happy for him, but
me too. Me too. I like Isaiah.
That matchup for him was perfect because Jake Browning for the Bengals, he will throw. They like to.
DeCecco predicted. I was having breakfast with our buddy Andrew DeCecco. He predicted he was getting a pick 6, so he deserves credit for that. He not only got a pick 6, he also peanut punched. And by the way, the Eagles deserve credit for that. He's peanut punching the fumble, returning that 60-something yards.
Yeah.
And the Eagles teach that. Not everybody teaches the peanut punch, but the Eagles place special emphasis on that shit more than most teams. But anyway, good for Isaiah Rodgers. Good for Chris Franklin for stopping by. NJ.com at C Franklin News. Got to talk to Jared Verse. I hope Jared got his chain back because that's like $250,000. That's what I'm guessing, Chris.
You might be a little light on that, John. I'm not sure.
That thing was.
I know diamonds aren't cheap.
By the way, Jalen's. You see Jalen's at the post-game press conference?
Jalen's just said the diamonds are so bright on Jalen, the camera can't pick up what actually the chain looks like because it just glistens the whole camera.
My God, these guys are wearing like $100,000 around their necks. I don't know.
money for him. I don't care what they do.
I carry a security guard with me at all times. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I hear you on that. Chris, good stuff, man. We appreciate you being here today. You can follow him at C. Franklin News. Read him at NJ.com. We love having him here. Chris, good stuff, brother. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. See you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Franklin joining us here on Birds 365. Great stuff today from Chris. Great stuff from Jeff Kerr. Two great guests today on a Victory Monday for the Philadelphia Eagles. A big one yesterday. John, I don't want to buy. I do not want you to be right, John. You're often right on this show, and I do give you credit for how often you are right. But I don't want you to be right about them going back to being a conservative football team. They don't have to be. They don't need to be. It's a different season. Saquon's doesn't look like he's going to have another historic year. Let the big boys eat. Let the killers eat, as AJ put it. Come on, Johnny.
It depends on people's definitions. I think, I think they were conservative yesterday until they were forced into not being conservative. So, I think a lot of people say, well, they're not going to be conservative. No, because they were forced in. Their identity is their identity. That's not changing. It might change if you're.
I think that's still yet to be determined this year. Their identity. I don't think they've quite found it.
Well, I think they found it last year, and it's continued over to this year. Now, again, can it change?
Not work this year so far.
Can it? Well, they're 3-0, so
I mean, in terms of the way the running game was successful enough to not like last year. We talked about the passing game, but we also did have Saquon has 205 yards. Saquon for another.
Well, I think the more important. I think the more important part was the turnovers. It wasn't the running game. The running game was just an impetus because it was so successful. The more important part was limiting the turnovers.
Really? You think that was more important than Saquon's historic year?
Oh yeah. They completely changed because of the turnovers in the first 4 weeks. That's why the offensive line said, hey, we have Saquon. Let's run the football. Lane and Jordan specifically. But the impetus, the foundation to it all was that they were turning the football over too much. And that, not that you can't turn it over, and they, everybody fumbles at some point, but again, the numbers are the numbers, 39-8 over that span. Takeaways, 39 takeaways, 8 giveaways. That's pretty fucking good. And that part is what they're hyper focused on. And until they start losing some games, I don't think that's changing. And I don't know when they're going to lose these games. Because as I said, the schedule eases up after next week. And you're facing a wounded Tampa Bay team. So I get everybody, it's a house of horrors, yada, yada, yada. Well, this time they have AJ and Devontae and maybe Lane. And Tampa Bay doesn't have a few offensive linemen and Mike Evans. Things are not a vacuum in this league. Things are not static in this league. Things change. Just because you lost to Tampa Bay because you were in a deep lot last year doesn't mean you're going to lose to Tampa Bay this year. And then, again, here come the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Here come.
Is this team starting 8-0?
Maybe, unless Carson Wentz beats them. Maybe. Now, Denver's got a good deep. These teams have good defenses.
Yeah, I'm not buying Bo Nix. Stop.
Well, I'd buy Bo Nix before I'd buy Carson Wentz. At least, again, you're not talking about. You're talking about one game. I don't like Bo Nix consistently either, but he's already proven he can have those games where he throws for.
And he's got. I mean, look, Sean Payton's done a good job overall with that defense and stuff. He's got some things there that'll help him win. I agree. It's not all on Bo Nix,
but I mean, clearly, I think the Eagles are a better team. So, I don't think Isaiah Rodgers is going to have a perfect grade against the Eagles. So, I mean, things lighten up after this week. And I don't even think this week is that tough because of the situation Tampa Bay's in. I don't think Tampa Bay's as good as their record indicates. Although, people could say the same thing about the Eagles because of the way they played. That they're not. But the Eagles have the long demonstrated history. It's not just about this season. So anyway, yeah, this was the toughest stretch, and they're 3-0. On paper, it was the toughest stretch.
Yep. Johnny Mac, we're a little overtime here. Big win yesterday, my friend. Your final thoughts here on a Monday edition of Birds 365.
Turn the page. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the House of Horrors, Raymond James Stadium. I haven't even looked at the weather. Got to look at the weather too. See what it's going to be this weekend. Hopefully, you get a break from the weatherman.
And real quick, you gave us the great name pull of Matt Spaeth. All right, Matt Spaeth, former Bear and Steeler tight end, is now a realtor.
Nice, Matt Spaeth Realty.
So call Matt Spaeth, everybody. He gets a shout today on Birds 365.
His record was broken. The greatest PFF. He probably has that up in his realty office.
I know.
The greatest PFF grade of all time. No more.
Yeah,
that is cool. The great Isaiah Rodgers, who is a great dude. Good for him, but big game. But you can't just and good player. You can't just scout games in 1 week increments and make declaring sweeping statements about players.
Yep, I agree. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We'll catch you tomorrow on a Tuesday edition of Birds 365. Well done today, my friend.
All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, good stuff, Johnny Mac. John McMullen joining us right here. Make sure you follow him on X at JF McMullen. A great show today with Jeff, with Chris, with J-Mac. But I got a different take than these guys. I'm sorry. I thought yesterday was a beautiful game. I thought you learned a lot about your football team. I thought it was great early adversity for the football team. And I think this team, these players, and these coaches are not going to stop using A.J. Brown again. I'm sorry. I understand that they have been great and they've won a lot of games the way they've played, and the conservative approach has the results that it has. This team knows. These players know. These coaches know. Everybody knows. And when your back gets put up against the wall like that in a week 3 game, and you come back and you show what you're capable of, and you show, that's where you learn who you really are. You don't learn who you really are when you're in the lead every game. You don't. You learn who you really are when you got -1 passing yards at the halftime. You come out to start the second half, getting the football. You get sacked, you fumble, and you go down by 19 points, and then you respond. That shows you who you are. I think this team learned a lot yesterday. I joked on the postgame show. I was fully ready to lose the game on the final kickoff or the final field goal. I was fully ready to lose the game when Cardi was lined up to kick the final field goal. They were well in field goal range. They marched down to get in that range, and only a little bit of time left. I was ready to lose the game and feel a sense of confidence coming out of the loss. Now, obviously, Jordan Davis blocked the field goal, and the rest is history, and we're sitting here at 3-0. But my point is, even if we ended up losing that game yesterday, I felt like you learned so much and you showed yourself so much that there was so much good to take from the game that it would lead to bigger and better results throughout the season than just winning a week 3 game. Let's be real. You don't win Super Bowls in week 3. You don't win playoff games in week 3. You don't even peak or want to peak in week 3 or even come close to peaking in week 3. So I wasn't really concerned about, if we lost the game. I get it. You want to win every game. I'm not saying you don't want to win. But I felt so good about that second half. I'm like, boy, this team learned something today. They showed themselves something, and they showed Kevin Petula something. I really believe what I was saying about Kevin Petula. I think he was driving that thing like a Ferrari that wasn't his. Go around every turn. You're afraid to scrape the wheel. You don't want to bring Joey B's point. You don't want to bring a drink in the car. You're afraid. You're afraid to let it go. You're afraid to kick it into gear, man. Drive the car, Kevin. All right? Drive the car. Izzy says, I still don't trust him. Izzy, I kind of agree with you. I don't think he showed enough to trust him to a long-term extent. But I think you saw enough in the second half that should say to him, okay, let's open this thing up a little bit more. Let's be a little bit more aggressive. Let's have a different approach than we had through the first 2 weeks. Now, I do agree. It's one half of football is not enough to trust him. But I hope his approach changes. I do. And you heard John kind of say it today. Don't blame him for the conservative approach. That's an organizational philosophy. That's Nick Sirianni. That's, so interesting stuff. But overall, excellent all throughout. We love the Rams. Checks in. He says Eagles got lucky against us again. 4-0 versus Stafford and McVay. A playoff win last year. A week 3 comeback win today. A dominating performance in week 12 last year. Brother, how many times are you going to say luck? Luck is flying by the seat of your pants. 4-0 versus McVay and Stafford is not luck, my friend. That's not luck. Now, maybe there were some instances in yesterday's game where you got some luck. Absolutely. But welcome to football. We're talking about football, Rams. Come on, man. We're talking about football. There's luck involved in every single game. It's all luck. Yeah, you're delusional. You're fucking delusional, my friend. All right? You're delusional. We got your number. We are your kryptonite, Rams. We are your kryptonite. Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, who you love to chirp, are your kryptonite. You can't beat them. You can't beat them. Boy, you guys must go to sleep at night and you wake up with flashes of Jalen Hurts in your face. Laughing at you guys. Oh, Cesar Campos with the Chilean pesos. I slept so good today because of yesterday's game that I just woke up. Go Birds. I love it. What time is it over in Chile? What time is it there, Caesar? I'm not a world traveler type of guy to where I would know Chilean time. 11:09 a.m. Okay, so you're only 1 hour ahead of us. Not bad. Where are you at? Santiago? Where are you at in Chile? Huh? Where are you at in Chile down there in South America? 11 a.m. That's what I thought. So, good stuff. Oh, you are? Are you in Santiago? That's sick. That's sick. Rams' new logo. That's classic, Daz. It's time for the Rams to beat the Eagles. Well, you're going to have to wait till next year. Sorry, buddy. Or if you get us in the playoffs, that'll suck for you guys because you guys will be bounced. You'll hate to see it. We love the Rams. You believe me, you don't want the Eagles in the playoffs. The last team you want to see in the playoffs is the team that you're 0-4 against. I promise you, that's the last team you want to see in the playoffs. All right? The powerhouse of the cells, the mighty con. What do we got? A bio lesson today. Holy moly. Are we having a giveaway today? Not today, Rich. We never do them on Monday. Even when they earn, there was no giveaway earned yesterday in terms of the passing yards or the defense. But we always do them Tuesday. It's never Monday because we got too much going on Monday show. But I'll say this. I might do a giveaway this week because of how awesome that game was. But I got to get something for it, all right? I got to get something for it. Oh, and by the way, how about this JAKIB t-shirt? So I might do a promo all year where anybody who becomes a legend member on the website will get one of these free JAKIB Stout U t-shirts. See it? So I might do a promo this year. Every person who becomes a legend member on the website will get one of these sent to your door. All right? So I might do that. But I'm not doing a giveaway this week for no memberships. That's not how it works, Rich. All right? Yeah, the shirt's bagging, Wildbear. By the way, ask my girl Texas T. These are good quality t-shirts. I don't get shitty JAKIB tees. They're solid. They're like comfort colors. They're good quality. They're good. They're solid tees. They're not Gildan's one wash and and it's bullshit. Oh, yeah, Caesar, send me it. I got to email. I'll email you today, Caesar. I'll email you, brother. All right. Sig, I sent him the address. Don't put that on me. That's on Pat, dude. I sent him your address the second you sent me it. Don't put that on me, Sig Lord. All right. Here's my boy Curtis. What's up, Curtis? Zander, did the Eagles really learn something, though? How dumb do you have to be to not already know what A.J. Smith and a healthy Dallas can do? Well, no, I wasn't born. I wasn't bitching at halftime. Born masterpiece. We had -1 passing yard at halftime. Find me an Eagle fan on fucking planet Earth that wasn't bitching about the halftime. What a stupid comment. Okay? What a stupid comment. Zander was bitching. What do you want me to do? Okay, everybody, it looks good. We sucked. We sucked in the first half. That's okay to say. I despise fans who think you're never allowed to, like, unless it's, I love them all the time and they're so perfect all the time. That's not a fan. That's fucking stupid. If you want to be delusional, go listen to somebody else. I don't give a rat's ass. Go listen to somebody else. I don't give a shit. I'm going to be honest, as I always am on the air. Zander, did the Eagles really learn something? Well, Curtis, to be fair to you, to respond to your question, I got distracted. To respond to your question, I think they did have such a big sample size of winning games without really needing to go that route. You know, I think rightfully so. They were, they won so many games last year. They were so successful last year that what did we bitch about all year last year, Curtis? Me included. We bitched about the passing game. And they were right. The Eagles were right in the end. The Eagles were right in the end. So I think to their credit, they've kind of taken this, the demonstrated success, and not that they didn't know that AJ and Devontae were great, but they were like, let's protect the football. We don't need to get involved. We'll get involved with the stats. You know what I mean? So, and I think, look, the thing that I would say too, about John and Chris and even Jeff and all of them today had a similar take that they're just going to go back to being conservative. Different season. I mean, it's a different season, man. Saquon doesn't look like he's going to. Now, I think Saquon's going to pick it up, by the way. I'm not in the camp that Saquon has fallen off. But it's probably fair to assume Saquon's not going to have another historic season. Historic seasons come once in a blue moon. They're historic for a reason. They're not the norm. So if you just factor in, okay, Saquon has a 25% reduction in statistics. He goes from 2,500 yards to, 1,600, 1,700 yards, which is a great season. It's a great season. Well, you got to pick that up. You got to make up for that slack, And I think, Curtis, I keep likening it to the car, and I know not everybody might not like that analogy, but think about it, dude. You're getting somebody's Ferrari that you're borrowing. You're going to be scared shitless driving that thing. You're going to be like, I'm not going fast. I'm taking it wide around every turn. I'm making sure the curb's not next to my door when I open it up. Like you're going to be scared. But you've been driving a Ferrari around the track 100 times. You're going to get a little more confidence in that thing. You're going to start being, I can drive this thing. Boom, I'm going to start kicking in high gear. I'm going to start driving the car. That's what I think's happening right now with this Eagles. Drive the car. The car is capable of much more than you're asking it to be. I promise you, man. All right, we got a 10-speed here in Philly. Fucking let that thing rip. Let that thing rip. I hope Patullo knows that, man. I think you will. We get it, Zander. You have a Ferrari. I do not have a Ferrari, Brian. But I've driven one once, and it was one of the greatest feelings in the world. So maybe one day we'll get one. I do too many giveaways to get one, Brian. I'm broke on giveaways. I'm just kidding. I do have a bunch of shit here to give away. By the way, everybody's up to date. I sent out everything. Look at all this shit we're giving away. We got jerseys, we got shirts, we got everything. I sent away everything. I sent out everything. The last person I ordered, I think, was Joe Whipp's Stout U sweatshirt. But I sent everything. I got Twiz the Jigga sent his jersey. Lucius the Show, I sent his jersey. Thomas Barzetta, I sent his jersey. Steve Z, 956, Mike Berghorst, and Thomas Gruber, I sent your t-shirts. Suchek sent her t-shirts. Master Eagle, I sent your jersey. Brian Waddington, you already got your t-shirts. So the only guys I still haven't shipped are that 2 hat guys because I gotta get the right boxes for them. I don't want to crush the hats. All right. So 19 and 20 was last year. I agree, man. I agree. It's a different team. So, all right, everybody. Good stuff today. Great show as always. All right. I like this comment from Joe. Whoever said that, Zander, didn't grow up here. I know. It's so true. It's so true. You got these. It's like Anton on the postgame show. You know, he's like this Aussie guy, and he's like, "Oh my God, you can't have any concerns." I'm like, "Dude, you're not from Philly. You don't fucking know what we deal with. You don't know how we're raised. You don't know what this city's like. All right, you don't know the way we think. With all due respect, our mutual nature is just that we're Eagles fans. That's it. We're gonna have a very different approach. All right, which I appreciate. M. Rice, you're right, my man. Feels good to be a winner. Yes, it does. Fly Eagles fly. I agree with you on that. All right. Zander, after the season, we can fire Kevin Patullo and hire Kellen Moore to come back because the Saints fucking stink and he's getting fired too. They're going 0-17. I hear you, Ryan. That's not a good team, though, man. They better give him more than 1 year. They don't have a quarterback. They got nothing. All right. They don't have shit. They don't have shit over there. We all won yesterday. I like that comment. John M. Good stuff. All right. All right, everybody. Great show. Hit that like button. How many likes did we get today? We should be getting at least 300 likes on a post. But John is such a curmudgeon. How about John in like the first 5 minutes of the show? Literally, we come off a massive comeback win. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes into the show. John's like, you can't win like that. That's not a good thing to do. You don't want to win on a field goal block. I'm like, John, come on, John. You guys see what I deal with. All right. I got curmudgeon 1 in the morning and I got curmudgeon 2 in the afternoon. Curmudgeon 1 in the morning and curmudgeon 2 in the afternoon. That's what I got. All right. All right. I love it. All right, everybody. Good stuff. Appreciate all of you guys. Hit that like button, including you, Born Masterpiece. All right. Hit that like button. Good stuff. Appreciate you all. Maybe we'll do a giveaway tomorrow if we get some memberships. If you want to go and sign up on JAKIB Sports and become a legend over there, I will give you guys the t-shirt winner. All right. So I'll email you. I'll grab your address and I'll ship it right to you. All right. I'll ship it right. I'll order it and they ship it right to you. I don't even touch it. It goes right from the factory to you. So, all right. Love all you guys. Hit that like button. See you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.